Welcome in. Welcome back to the Harbingers D&D campaign, session number 8 tonight. Woo! We are so excited to get back into it, and yeah, no announcements, just oh wait, no, we do. We have an awesome new you can kind of see it, new overlay done by none other than S. Teal here, Merilla. Oh wait, she's up there. A point up there. Merilla. Um, she made this awesome overlay, so kudos to her. Also, Megan. Oh, Megan. All reverse on the camera here, created a animatic of one of the scenes from one of the sessions a little while back ago. It's super dope, super awesome. It's down on YouTube, so be sure to go and check that out. The animation is freaking awesome. It's amazing. So, without further ado, we'll just get right into the recap. Which who's doing the recap? Megan. Okay, Megan, take it away.
So, short answer for this recap, everyone has said that this last session was very wholesome. Long answer for this recap, we have finished defeating the fake Hydra, and we're making sure everyone is okay. Dusty has reunited with Tax, who later on gets reunited with her mother. And so we are getting Tax, the other little kid who was down there, and Brandon all out of there, along with the sheep that were being held captive there. And how did we get the sheep out? We had them follow Douse because they were obsessed with him. So we got all of them out of these caverns and take them back to the town, where almost every single villager who was left is gathered at the temple for some reason, asking the cleric why everyone's going missing, why their memories are coming back, just this whole fiasco going off at the temple. We get Brandon reunited with Mary, and we got the sheep reunited with Gerald, which that was probably the sweetest reunion ever. And then back in the caverns, Amaris did confirm that the half-elf that was down there is in fact her sister Dane, and did remember a bit about her. So as they get back to the temple, Amaris makes her way to the front to try and get the attention of the cleric, but of course there's so much going on that she's basically brushed off. So she tries getting their attention, everyone freaks out at the spell she uses, and then the captain of the guard gets everyone to calm down and go home. So we asked the cleric for help in bringing Dane back, because sadly, Dane has passed. Not Dane who plays Douse, he's still here. We try getting Dane back, but it is at the cost of 1,000 gold, which none of us have even combined. So Nuri basically loses her mind at the cleric, just like, we saved your town. What? Like, why can't we get a discount or anything like that? And then Amaris decides maybe there's a way that I can get money, goes and asks for Merilla's loot, and then goes off to try and earn coin by playing music. During all that, I think Douse stayed outside of the temple while Dusty goes to reunite Tax with her mother, and that was a very sweet reunion. Amaris was not able to get any money to pay for the resurrection spell, but was instead at least able to play an inspiring song for the townsfolk who were still in sorrows of losing loved ones. If that had any effect, we don't know. By the end of the day, we all returned to the tavern, And Douse does his best to apologize for his stupidity back in the taverns and tries getting away with it by paying for a round of drinks for everyone and then escaping up to the room, which doesn't work out because Mary has given them on the house drinks and basically forces him to go back and talk to them some more. After he goes back, there was a huge round of, this is what everyone did well in the tavern, or in the caverns today. Very sweet. Amaris was not there, though. After everyone goes to bed, we wake up the next morning, and there is bustle around town as everyone is basically rebuilding the town of Dragondale. Some people like helping move stuff and all that, and there are little kids running around trying to help. They've got flowers that they are giving to some of the older folks, and I do believe that is where we left off.
Okay. Alrighty. I do believe also at the very end, uh Douse's bracelet was getting warm, right? Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, Dane.
Yes, I am here, even though viewers may notice I am not up on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Just going through some stuff today, so I'm not using my cam. Anyways, yes, my bracelet was heating up.
Okay, awesome. All right, so without further ado, we will dive right back into the session. We are just chilling on the tavern map right now. And we'll go back to the majority of the group who is currently at the tavern. Um, Amaris, Merilla, and Nuri, were you guys still up in the bedroom or did you guys head down?
I think we headed down.
Okay. All right, so as you were heading down, you're starting to come down the stairs. At this time, Dusty, you're sitting at the table and Brandon walks up. Um, he goes, I don't know where the rest of your group is, but there were some letters left for you guys.
Oh, yes, of course. I can hold on to those till the rest of us are grouped up together.
Well, yes, I'm just gonna give them to you.
Perfect.
The two other men that you were with, Val and his friend Echo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, they left these here for you. So, and he goes back, kind of just like gives a little salute and
Some thumbs
goes
up
back
back.
into the. Alrighty. And as he goes back behind the bar to help his wife, the girls, you come down the stairs and you can now see Dusty at the table.
You see him kind of thumbing through a couple letters as you come down, and he waves and he says, "Oh, hello, welcome, welcome. I got the letters from our babysitters."
Letters? They left letters?
Yes.
Is there one for me?
I think
You
they're
see there's
addressed
two
to all
letters.
of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's two of them. Are they addressed from different people? They're one's from Val, one's Echo, or how's that work?
It looks like both of them are like written for you guys. One of them is titled as a letter of recommendation, and the other one is let me look at this. And the other one says to our fellow adventurers and lists everyone's name.
Right. Yeah, it looks like one of them is a letter of recommendation, and the other one is addressed to all of us. So we did good.
I don't think we'll find out until the people who get the recommendation are either pleased with it or displeased.
Or we could just open it now and then we close it.
You fight a lot, Nuri. Could you do forgery?
Well, it
She's
doesn't look
100%
like
not
it's
serious.
sealed. It doesn't look like it's sealed, so
They're just like papers, like
yeah, they're
folded
just
together.
like folded up, one on
I'm
top
gonna
of the
just
other.
try and take one from Dusty. If
Yeah,
I let
he'll let you look at it.
Okay.
I take the recommendation one and I open it up.
Okay. All right. So you take the
Does it
recommendation
say?
one. I will make both of these available for everyone to look at and read. I don't know if one of you guys wanted to read it out loud.
Oh, Nuri
I
has
can read
it.
the recommendation. Okay.
Okay, give me one sec. It like covered this in
Oh,
black font and I don't know. Ah, transparent background. Okay, well now all the text is white. I don't know how to.
I can see it if that helps at all.
Okay, well that's good. Very faint. Okay.
shall I read the letter of recommendation? Or was I like a
Yes,
group of-
yes.
By all means.
Should I try and do a voice or just like my normal voice?
Just read it. Just read it.
Oh, okay, okay. Letter of recommendation to Adam's Edge. Amaris, although she was a quieter member of the group, Amaris provided wonderful investigation and social skills to the group. She was a boost to morale, and her supporting capabilities were immensely useful in the field. Amaris was a pleasure to work with, and we would gladly recommend her to Adam's Edge. Oh, how cute!
Good,
Amaris.
good.
Douse, although he is very unpredictable, he is a powerful ally. His affinity for offensive water-based abilities is unmatched by any we have seen. Is Douse down here?
Nope,
Oh,
he is.
I haven't seen him. I think he left before me.
Yeah, nope, I'm out with the town.
Oh,
Keep reading.
didn't realize he left. Oh, okay, okay. He does need additional training before he is a reliable asset to the guild, as his powers do occasionally flood out of control. He also failed to follow orders at a time of need, which led to potential danger to the party due to the enthralling effects of a false hydra, which threatened the town. This was concerning, but did not overshadow his skill on the battlefield. With proper training, we conditionally recommend Douse for Avon's Edge.
At
Well,
least
as
they're
me.
honest.
Scared to see what they'll say about me, honestly. Okay, Dusty. Oh, Dusty. While definitely the enigma of the group, Dusty demonstrated time and time again his reliability in the field. Oh, Dusty.
Enigma?
I think it means like you know what it is, but you don't really know what it is.
It can be seen as a good thing.
Kind of cocks his head. Yeah, sure. I guess that fits.
Yes, it does. I guess we don't know exactly what you are, but we know what you are.
Yeah. His shape-shifting and spell-casting abilities make him a powerful adversary on the battlefield, and his wits make him an entertaining companion. Oh, you're entertaining. Oh, I already knew that.
Very nice. Very nice.
He would be an excellent asset to Avon's Edge. Merilla.
Oh no.
Age may not equal experience, but apparently it sure does equal appetite.
Oh.
Merilla was a blast to work with. Even if she does threaten to eat any group she travels with out of house and home. Her charisma more than makes up for any flaws, as Merilla never failed to keep things light even in the face of danger. Although she may be past her prime, Merilla is more than capable of being an asset to Avon's Edge.
Jeez.
I got that right. I'm a powerful sorceress. Of course, everyone should want me. Except for those who don't, but we don't pay attention to them.
and now me.
I'm
Nuri,
sure it's
as the
wonderful, Nuri.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm great. Nuri, as the acting mother of the group.
Of course, you see the content. It's perfect. Just you need to know.
how Nuri is invaluable to the adventurers in this party. Oh, that's so nice. Her sincerity and kindness seems to know no bounds, except to those that threaten those she cares about. Nuri more than provided herself on the battlefield on multiple occasions. We give her high recommendations to Avon's Edge. It's actually really nice. I didn't think they would say such nice things about me.
Quite favorable, yes. All true.
Yes.
You guys are so nice to me. Nuri totally blushing as she just kept hides behind the letter. Hopefully this assignment is adequate for the record. Assessment. Oh my goodness. Nuri is very. She's blushing a lot right now. Hopefully this assignment is adequate for the recruitment team. Overall, we thoroughly enjoyed working with this competent group of adventurers. Through their teamwork, they helped to stop a rare and powerful magical creature while saving as many people as possible. We hope you take our thoughts and experience into consideration as you evaluate their fit to the guild. Thank you. Echo and Val. P.S. If anyone is wondering, Nuri is definitely...
An
Yes.
important note
Quite
to be
taken.
sure.
I'm married, it's true, I am. He's quite handsome as well. Well, we just fold it up and put it back to Dusty. Does he want to read the other one?
He accepts it. He like,
I'm blushing a lot.
Oh dear. Well, I think we know we'll probably get in. I mean, nothing there's super nasty about any of us.
no, not super nasty. They did shortchange Douse though, didn't they?
That is true. They didn't get to see the best of him though because he was under the magic. He really is invaluable. He's very, very strong.
I agree.
Does someone want to read the next one? Oh, am I going to read it? Woo.
If you don't, I will. Somebody else can.
Dusty just holds up the note.
Would you want to read it, Dusty?
No, I'm all right.
He gave the letters to you. Why don't you read it?
I mean, I guess I can. He kind of unravels the note. Let's see. All right. It says, to our fellow adventurers, and let's see. Oh, they've got all our names down. Nuri, Merilla, Dusty, Amaris, and Douse. Congratulations on accomplishing an assignment adventure that was more difficult than expected. After all, this unexpectancy should always be expected. Expect the unexpected and trust in your companions. Oh, that's some pretty good advice. Every adventurer has their motivation for adventuring. Some enjoy the unknown, the thrill, and challenge of each unique quest places before them. Some seek for glory, honor, or wealth. Some in particular are looking for that which is lost. And others, adventure to be found. Echo and I, seems to weirdly cut there, and I'm assuming there's something supposed to be there. Enclosed is our sealed report and our observations of your skills and abilities to be delivered to the Guild Warden in Steel Glen. Best of luck, adventurers, and until the road leads us back. Your babysitters, Val Letterman, Echo. And it seems that there are different notes on each of us. But again, ultimately recommending us to the Adventurers Guild. Seems like they trust in us. And cool. And kind of holds it back up. Very good.
I'm going to just take the letter and see what the awkwardly cut part was.
I was gonna kind of look over your shoulder too, like, what was that?
It wasn't purposefully cut as a little DM's note. It was what I got sent.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I don't even know.
Might have A typo? Oh, I see. They like scratched it out. Maybe I see.
Yeah, he scratched. It looked like he was writing something, and it just got scratched out. Like,
scratched it out from
a
his
little
mind.
too soft and mushy, you know.
Wonderful.
Oh,
We should make sure
very
Douse has
nice.
an opportunity to read them as well.
Yes. Where did Douse go?
He came down before me. Not sure where he ended up heading off to. Presumably to town.
Well, before the day gets too crazy, there's some things I wanted to report, and we also have these wonderful. I'm gonna look around, check the shadows. Is there anyone watching us? Any suspicious things in the shadows?
The shadows. There's like shadows in the corners that are flicking from the firelight. Everything seems okay.
I'm gonna keep my eyes on the shadows as I'm gonna lean in. Be like, the magic items we got. We should really go through those, and then we should pick one that none of us really want, and then sell it for some diamonds. And then we can bring back Dane.
Seems
They're
like a
worth
plan.
more than most diamonds. I'm assuming.
Nuri,
Yes?
I was thinking a lot about this whole debacle with Dane last night and this morning. And I remembered something that our babysitter said. Do you remember what it was about death and dead people?
I just kind of like slide my notebook away. I'm like, no, I don't. I know they're both dead.
She's gonna note you sliding your notebook away. She's like, "Are you sure you didn't take a note of it?"
Nope, didn't.
Well, I remember very clearly.
Dawn. You remember? Oh.
I do. She's gonna kind of like glance at Amaris sympathetically and then look back to you. Both of them were basically undead, and they had the opinion that the dead should stay dead. Now consider it from Dane's perspective. Down there, she died intentionally trying to protect Brandon and the children. Remember, Brandon said she threw herself in front of them when the monster came near. Can we bring her back and not expect some sort of change in her mindset? Would that be fair or kind to her and her sacrifice? I know
Morris
this
gets
is
up and
an
leaves.
impossibly difficult thing to say, and I don't think I cannot decide for you. But that's just something I thought I would bring up to consider.
Did
Now,
I
just
hear
in
that
case you wanted to
Amaris
know, if
gets up
I
and
died,
leaves?
I would expect you and want you to leave me dead. Don't bring me back, just so you know.
Out of game. It was so wholesome. It was so wholesome. Approximately 3 minutes ago. Also, Amaris just left.
Okay. So, Amaris, as you start walking towards the doors, we're gonna switch over back to Dane or Douse. I'll just keep calling you Douse because now there's a Dane actually in the game. So, Douse, we're gonna switch back over to you real quick. As you had this little experience with oh my gosh, Tax. Can't believe I blinked on that one. As you had this little experience with Tax, and now your bracelet begins to warm.
I would be on my way to learn a new recipe. Would that be correct?
In about like you have about like 30 minutes ish before
Mm.
before Girth is going to bring you back to her home to learn a new recipe.
Okay. What is my scenario looking
So you are in the town square. Um, like I said before, that there are lots of people that are kind of clattering about. You see the two dragonborn couple, or the dragonborn couple. Um, they both seem to be directing people to very different places. Tax pointed out the little baby in the sling that the dragonborn woman is carrying. Um, you see that there's a bunch of like older folk that the kids are kind of like putting flowers in their hair, and um they seem to be more like desert flowers too, so there's not like a ton of them. Um, but they're like small ones that are able to grow without as much water. Um, you see that Girth is running low on the bread that she does have, and she's passing out to people. Um, so you gather you have about 30 minutes, maybe a little more, maybe an hour before she's done.
like? Okay. I was mostly wondering if I was in how public of a place I was in.
Pretty
Um,
public.
okay. Is there?
Tax is still holding your other hand, or your hand with the bracelet too.
Hmm. And I'm aware that water helps the situation at this point, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there a well anywhere nearby?
Um, Tax kind of like looks up at you, and kind of
Or a
not.
fountain?
She kind of shakes her head at the fountain and kind of laughs a little bit. Um, it doesn't seem they have a fountain in this little desert town, but they do have a well. Um, she leads you back. It's actually behind the tavern. Um, so she leads you past and back behind the tavern. There's this stone circle with kind of like a thatched um roof over it that's actually made out of wood. And there's a bucket on the edge with like a little hand crank.
Mhm. Okay. I'm gonna lean over to. Oh no, that's not gonna work. I was gonna try and turn this into a huge water fight. um, and like, I'm really parched. Do you mind if I pull up some water real quick?
She just lets go of your hand and actually ends up holding onto your leg. It seems like she likes having like contact with someone.
Hmm.
Um she's just kind of like warily watching like your surroundings. There's not very many people around in this area. There's still like a few people walking past here and there. But yeah, you can lower it and start to crank out some
All right.
water. It is getting a lot warmer on your wrist.
Yes. So I'm gonna pull up the bucket of water and turn it into play where I'm going to start splashing her around and whatnot, throwing the water around, getting myself some drink as well, but trying to get water everywhere so that I can get water also on the bracelet.
So like, how are you doing that? Are you just kind of like scooping water out from the bucket on her?
Yes.
Okay.
So the
So you,
the first little bit's kind of like the bucket challenge. So I'll like take a little bit of a swig and then as like kind of just dip it over to the side. So it just
okay.
kind of like starts plopping on her.
So you start plopping water on her. And she just jumps and starts like clinging to your side, to your leg. And she doesn't seem to enjoy it.
Dang it.
Um, and then she kind of looks up at you and she starts like shaking her head in like a no.
Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop.
And then she
But
kind of
I'll
gestures to how like barren the ground is, and then is kind of like no, and she just whispers like, "Don't waste water."
It's okay. I got this. I'll use my racial ability
Mm.
to replace the water that I had messed with.
Your racial
uh,
ability? What ability is that?
I forget what it's called, but I basically get to cast create water.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay. You're casting create water,
yes,
to be clear. Okay.
create
Where are you
water.
casting create water?
Uh, Hold on, I need to double check how much create water or how much water I create. 10 gallons. Oh boy. Uh, Mostly in the well to refill it up, but so I'll refill what I messed up, and then just kind of lean back with my arm inside the bucket, kind of nonchalantly hiding that,
Nonchalantly
acting like I
sticking
forgot. Yep.
nonchalantly sticking your hand in the bucket with the bracelet submerged. You notice that the water in the bucket is like draining rapidly. As it's all getting like sucked into your bracelet. Um, and as you cast like create water in this well, you kind of like direct your hands towards the well, and water just kind of like slinks off your arm and out your fingertips and like just starts like gushing kind of like a as if the palm of your hand was like the tip of a fire hose or something, just
Mhm.
gushing like the 10 gallons of water into it. Um it kind of throws you back a little bit with like the thrust. And she just kind of clings to you a little more, still wet. um and the water starts like pouring in. Everything seems fine for now.
It's like, I'm just like, don't worry. See, I, I'll replace what I messed up, but I'll put this back. We're good. I didn't make too much of a mess.
She just kind of she like looks up at you and narrows her eyes, and then she she's just like nods a little bit, and then
All right.
proceeds to just like hold on to like your shirt, like the edge of it kind of a thing. So she's not
Mhm.
like clinging onto you anymore. Um but everything starts to go well. You actually so as the water's kind of gushing out of your hand there, you see a little bit of it starts to kind of climb up to the top of your hand, forming kind of like a little water bubble.
Oh no.
And the little bubble is just like just kind of like flowing and ebbing just like on top of your hand as you're pouring it out. Um and it kind of like starts to like grow a little bit more, coming almost like a swaying like plant underwater, like seaweed. Um and then it kind of goes rigid and stops, like um before like the tip just kind of like leans down, gets in your face.
I'm gonna try and just like slowly push it back further into the bracelet. Kind of like, not now, not now. Jack in the Box style, like just close it.
You see two branches of like the water kind of split off to make kind of like a little half square. It almost looks like hands being like put on someone's hips, you know? This water looks like hecka sassy. Um as it's looking at you. And Douse, you get a slap to the face with the water.
Does Tax notice at all?
Yeah, you see Tax kind of looks up and she just like she's kind of like in awe and amazement, and when the water like hits you in the face, she actually lets out like kind of like she lets out a laugh like and like tries to stifle it.
Um, I'll lean in a little bit to the water, like play along, and we will talk about this later. And she's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna try and just jokingly start laughing it off and play as if it was me just having fun with water again.
The tip of the water kind of recoils a little bit. The tip of it kind of like shakes a little bit. Um the two water edges on the side go back and merge into the main like tendril here. Um and it starts to curl around your arm. So it comes down and it starts to snake around your arm, making like this long snake-like bracelet. Um, and the tip of it actually looks down at Tax. Um, and Tax kind of like gets like mesmerized by this. So she's just looking at the magic in awe. She kind of like looks at you for a second and then looks at it with this like big grin. Um, am high or low?
Let's go. Let's go low.
Okay. The water kind of looks towards Tax and almost like kind of cocks the tip to the side, kind of looking at her curiously. If water can even look, you know. Um, and pretty much it then starts to kind of slowly edge towards her and kind of wrap it kind of around her hair. You actually see the water kind of like bringing her hair up, kind of like that scene from Moana where like
Oh no.
sticks her head like all the way up, like her hair
I,
gets into this big spike.
I'm going to use the cantrip of control water and see if I can slowly. Like, I'm basically going to be grabbing it, and just like trying to pull it back a little bit. Like I don't know what this is going to do to her.
It doesn't seem to be like harming her. She actually seems to be laughing, but you can attempt to control water. Um, as you
Just so.
attempt, um, sorry, what you were saying?
Uh, uh, mm,
So
yeah, I'm
are
going
you
to try and
casting it?
coerce it. I'm going to try and coerce it back into the bracelet.
Okay. Make an intelligence saving throw for me.
Okay.
Or I guess, sorry, it wouldn't be an intelligence saving throw, it'd just be an intelligence check against it.
Gotcha. Nat 20.
Nat 20. Okay. Um, you cast control water and make it like kind of yank itself away from Tax. She kind of is laughing as her hair is kind of like up in a little like mohawk. Um, but it gets yanked back and now it's like staring at you and it's like curling back and forth, almost like a snake. Um,
I'm going to glare back.
ooh,
Like
okay.
get in there. Get into the watch or the bracelet. The watch.
Into the watch. Here's look at the sundial. Um, so you're saying get back in the
Yeah, I'm gonna say like get back in there.
okay. Make another intelligence check.
All right. 18.
Okay. All right, so this time it actually succeeded over you. So this time you're kind of you tell it to get back in there, right? Um and it kind of like snaps at you. And it's almost um like this strand of water like smacking your nose, like if someone took like a pencil and smacked you on the nose. Um it almost like whips you. Um as Greg's now like flicking the pencil into the camera. Um it does not seem happy right now. It kind of like you hear this like low, um, like gurgle in your mind. It's not quite like a hiss, like a snake, but like a stormy sea. Um, kind of with the rapid shift and change of the water kind of all bubbling and swirling in this torrent of mighty anger is all kind of like in the back of your mind. Um, and you hear this deep rumbling voice as it goes, "You do not control me, honey."
The honey part is gonna throw me off a little, but I would retort as like, for now you are on my wrist, and therefore I would appreciate a little bit of cooperation here. You just go back inside.
The torrent continues to build just like in the back of your mind, um like a storm that's coming, and you hear like the thunder and the rumblings, um and and the voice again um says, "You do not command me."
Um, at this point, I will turn to Tax like, hey, let's go back and see your mother. And I will meet you there if you want to run on ahead. I need to grab myself a little bit more water.
Tax kind of like looks behind her as she's like still holding on. She's like been watching the water as it's like kind of just like still almost like a snake moving its tip back and forth. Um as she kind of like looks away, um and she notices someone that she actually knows passing by, and she just kind of nods to you, and she goes over and she like grabs their hand, and they're kind of like, "Oh, sweetie, do you want to go back to your mom?" And she just kind of like nods her head. Um, and they start walking away.
Okay, I'm gonna wait until they're out of sight
You
and then
may
turn
do
back
so.
to it, and I'm going to slap it back.
Okay. Um, so you just slap it back, and your hand kind of goes through the water. Water splashes onto the ground. Um, and the water itself. Sierra's comment in the chat, "This is going to go bad real quick." Yeah. Um, you actually see the water, it starts to grow bigger into this big kind of like bubble. Um, as this just like deep rumble of thunder is in your mind. Um, and you notice that your arms are starting to get consumed by this water as it starts to just like start inching and covering you. Your legs and your hips and torso are starting to get covered in water as it's encasing and encroaching on your neck.
I will jump into the well.
Okay, roll either acrobatics or athletics for me. As the water is making it kind of difficult and it's kind of trying to stop you.
Okay.
Okay.
The water is my domain.
Okay. All right. So you, with that 13 for athletics, you are able to just barely kind of crawl over the edge and drop yourself in. Um, so, Just to be
My
clear,
goal is
you
to
can't.
get out of sight with whatever's going on. So that's why I went
Okay.
in.
Okay. Um, and just a quick question. So you can't actually drown in water, right? Because you're a water
Correct.
genasi.
I can breathe in water.
Okay, you can breathe in water. Um, okay, just wanted to double confirm that. So, okay, you get dropped into you jump into this well, and now you are surrounded by water. One, you're kind of tainting their well, but whatever. You just drop in. Um,
It was
you're
the closest private
submerged.
place, okay?
You are now submerged in the water, encased. You actually see the water around you as everything almost stills for a moment as you're just kind of floating there, um, in the water. Um, and you feel everything in this big cavern, this underground dark cavern, with the only light being this little bit of like spotlight that's shining down in there. Um, the edges of this little water well are dark. Um, you kind of wonder how you're going to get out of the well now. But it starts to swirl. You feel the current, a current being created within this well, starting to slowly grow into a whirlpool with you at the center, being swept round and round and round. Um, and you just hear the voice in your mind again and saying, "Do you think this is a game?"
Of course not. But clearly, we need to talk. And what
We
better than a
shall.
private, dark place?
What better than a
Sorry.
private dark place? Okay. Hey. Um, so you are in the well. Oh my gosh. Let me make a couple rolls here real quick. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. The voice comes back to you again. This time a storming, raging thunder. Um, you do not control the sea.
Well, no, I do not. I'm one of the many denizens of the sea. However, this is not a sea. This is a well. Reality is not what you want it to be.
Regardless, it is water, and I am master of all water. The at the top kind of sounded a little bit more feminine in a sense.
Okay. Well, we can have a longer discussion about this later. I have appointments to keep, and we need to set some ground rules. Currently, you live on my arm. I don't know what you want, but I will find out tonight if that is fine with you.
The water starts pushing you down and it bangs you against the ground in the well of like the bottom of the well. Um as you say that, take 4 points of bludgeoning damage as it just bam,
Oh.
bam, bam shoves you against the ground. Um um I am not something that you can just turn on and off. You can't. I am not at your beck and call. I will come and go as I wish.
I don't recall calling you. All I recall is trying to do things the way I've always done them.
But you did. And I am here. And
Well,
until
then.
you recognize that I am master here, you will stay in this well for as long as I deem. And you, boom, you're gonna get smashed down again for 2 points of bludgeoning damage as you get smashed down into the ground again.
2 points.
2 points.
I'm gonna shake off a little bit of that daze.
Yeah, your back kind of like arches as you like come back up and the water flows around you. Still spinning rapidly. It's almost making you dizzy with the amount of like spins and rapid like whirlwind around you of water.
I will address it again and be like, last I checked, you are a bracelet, and bracelets apparently
I
throw
am not a
tantrums.
bracelet! It shouts at you. I am much more than you can even comprehend, you low mortal life form.
Apparently, whatever you are, you still throw tantrums like a child. And I'm going to attempt to resist whatever it does when the next throw comes, because I know it's coming.
Yeah, it is. There's not really much you can do to resist as the water is like slamming you down. Like it seems that the water is not under your control anymore. Like you can't control it. You can um
I can still
as
fight it like a current.
yeah, you can try to
I
fight
have
it
my
like a
physical
current.
strength.
Yeah, so make a strength check for me as it continues to pull you down.
Check or saving throw?
Saving throw. 14. Okay. So you're only going to get 1 point with that roll, 1 point of damage. As you are trying to fight the current, it does manage to slam you back again. And it says, "Do not test me." Child.
We can do this all day, but I would rather have a more pleasant conversation later.
Yeah, it's not going to go that way. As you make another strength save.
Nat 20.
21. Okay, you don't take any damage from this one. As you kind of get thrust back down again, you kind of quirk it so you're able to kind of like push with your hands against the ground as you're being like slammed against it. Just this time you're able to kind of like twist and do that. And then she instantly tries to go to shove you against the wall, so make another strength save. Yeah, with a 6. She take 7 points of bludgeoning damage as you get thrust against the wall and your head just kind of cracks against it. You kind of like feel back and you actually like can feel some blood. As then it gets whisked away into the water. The comment of Greg saying more contamination.
So, what do I have to do to get you to settle down for us to talk about this later? Like I said, not at this moment.
You don't make deals with me. I already told you I am the master here. I am in charge.
And if you kill me, you're stuck in a well for the rest of eternity, or however long.
The water kind of slows down a little bit, slows down slightly. Not as rapid as it was of a whirlpool, but it starts to slow down into a gentle current that's kind of bringing you around. Um, yes, you do have transportation.
Not much, but I can climb.
I can do much better. And you actually see the water kind of like whips around you again, and it almost feels like it's becoming like a tunnel as it starts to kind of shoot up the well, like bringing you up in this like water column. And then almost like that scene in Moana where it like dumps the chicken, like kind of like a like kind of vomits it out. Um, kind of vomits you outside the well. You're completely like sopping wet, head to toe. Um, bloodied on the back of your head. And your back hurts like a lot. Um, you actually see like a you see what's his name? Gerald, with his donkey, right? Kind of passing by, and he actually just completely ignores you and is still walking. The donkey, however, kind of like snaps its eyes at you and just goes, and then just like picks up the pace a little bit.
Uh,
Uh,
I will use shape water to kind of quickly dry off myself and put all the water back into the well because I don't want to waste, like Tax said.
um, make a what's your spell casting ability?
I believe it is. Hold on.
Like charisma, intelligence, wisdom?
I want to say it's wisdom.
Wisdom. Okay. Just make a wisdom check.
I'll do wisdom check. I'll have to double check to tell you later on what it is, but
Okay.
that's a 7.
Yeah, the water stays where it is on you. You're drenched.
Fair enough.
And you still can almost like feel in the back of your mind this storm and this rage. And and then you just hear this, the voice doesn't seem as low and as gravelly anymore, and it almost seems very light and um light yet quick. Um as it just goes, "We'll see how well you do without me." And then you see it fade away.
I will talk to you later, is going to be my reply. And then I will go to find Tax and Gareth? Garth? Gareth?
Girth.
Girth.
Okay, so you kind of pass by the front of the tavern, and as you do so, Amaris starts exiting the tavern. Amaris, you open the doors and you see a sopping wet Douse, walking. And we'll come back to the group here.
Hello.
What happened to you?
I fell in a well.
How do you fall into a well? Isn't like the opening above the ground? I'm pretty sure you're too short to reach the top of it.
I was reaching for the bucket and it was a little too far out of reach.
So you had to climb on top of it?
more or less.
And I'm guessing you hit your head on the side as well. Looks pretty bad.
That tends to happen when you fall into wells, and it's very narrow. So, actually, I'm gonna. Do you have any bandages? I know who does. Dusty. I'm gonna grab Dusty.
So you walk into the tavern, and everyone who's sitting at the table, you see Amaris still like in the doorway. But you see Dusty walk in, sopping wet, looking very worse for wear. Um, yeah, he looks to be a little bit in pain.
Dusty, can I borrow some bandages? I kind of bumped my head.
Is everything all right? He kind of like stands up and walks over towards you.
I'm doing fine. I'll just like put my arm on him and just like make sure he notices that he now has a wet handprint on his side.
Just like, oh, I see. And he like looks up. He can see your head bleeding. He's like, you're bleeding.
Yeah, that's kind of why I need the bandages. If that's all right.
No, that's totally fine. And he like shifts his arm so that he's like holding onto your arm with his, and then he casts Cure Wounds on you.
Oh, this is much better, actually. Thank you. Well, I was just stopping by. I'll catch up with you guys later, but I got an appointment to meet.
You regain 6 points.
I'm gonna just stand up, like put my hands on my hips and be like, an appointment with who? We're all in the same town. Together.
I assumed you guys were kind of busy or some, but I'm just helping out with the town to rebuild.
That's a really good idea, actually.
How did that lead to your head bleeding and you being drenched in water? We are in the middle of a desert.
It's very dry here.
I was getting a drink of water and I fell in the well.
One does not just fall in the well, okay? Like, that just doesn't happen.
I imagine it happens quite regularly. Kids playing around it, they can fall in easily.
But they're shorter than you. Than us, I mean.
I'm pretty short.
Can I make an insight check?
To her head and then gesture to your head, but I'm shorter.
Yeah, you can make an insight check with a contested deception check of Douse. So Douse rolled a 12 for deception.
8.
An 8 for insight. And you have a plus.
My passive insight is 16. Does that count? Or should I roll?
You can roll if you would like.
Oh, I guess it's possible you could have fallen in the well. I mean, I guess it does happen. You know, people say little Tommy fell in the well all the time, so it makes sense, but
I slipped and fell in.
Be more careful. Now,
I will be. But right now, a few people are waiting on me, so I will catch up with you guys later.
Merilla, what'd you roll?
No, it's good.
Oh.
So, before you go, Douse, we do have a letter with your name in it. I don't know if you want to maybe read it.
Yes, a letter's from a babysitter.
Kind of wet, and that doesn't do well with paper. But I'll read it later.
Read it to you.
I mean, I really do have to go. I'm already running a little late.
Okay, well, actually, before you go, we need to talk about magic items so we can sell one. So, like, actually, it's kind of life or death situation, literally.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
How long is this going to take?
Oh, it's pretty quick. Out of all this stuff we got, what is something we're all okay with selling?
What did we get again?
Stuff we got.
Well, we have this really cool rod over here. We have some potions. Oh, this is a fire-breathing potion. I'm going to just set that in the middle as well.
And we're
We
sure this
have
doesn't
this-
belong to anybody. It was like a sacred family heirloom.
It was with a whole bunch of dead people. Think about this logically. If we start going around asking who it belongs to, everyone's going to say it belongs to them. There's no way of actually proving who it belongs to. And half the town is dead, so it's not likely it actually belongs to anyone anymore.
But
Plus,
isn't
we
there
saved
like a
their
leader we
town.
can verify with or something? I mean, you are correct. It's an excellent point. People may be like, oh my gosh, valuable item, money, and have dollar signs flashing in their eyes, but
Dollar signs. You mean
gold
coin
coin signs?
Hmm.
It's
Well-
a fair point. What else? What else did we get?
Oh, well. Let me look at my notes to remember. Actually, look at what Emily sent us because I don't remember everything. We have this quiver. Does any of us shoot arrows? I don't feel like any of us do. We have goggles.
Dusty already has some.
Because if none of us shoot arrows, then this is really easy. We can just sell the quiver.
We could.
And then we can bring, I know what you said, Merilla. But also consider she's probably down there really, really hoping and praying that we'd find her before she was eaten. It's only fair we give her a chance to come back. She can still choose whether or not she wants to.
Wait, is that really a thing?
Yes.
Oh,
So in this like setting that I've built, we do a death system called the Hill, where pretty much part of bringing someone back to life includes having someone calling them back. And it's almost like this spiritual experience where they're on this hillside. And down one end is if they head to the bottom of the hill, that will let their soul rest forever. They'll be in like, dead. Or they can go to the top of the hill where there's life waiting for them. And if someone's yeah,
okay.
so and it's more easily explained when you're actually like in the process of it.
That's okay. I get it. I
yeah.
get it enough.
As
Now I
old
know
as
that there's
she
a
is,
choice for the dead
Marilla's
person.
never
That's what
seen this
Merilla was
place.
concerned about. Was that
Mhm.
there wasn't. Obviously, she's never been dead before. She doesn't know.
hmm It's not talked about openly very often. The hillside is a place that most people will shudder to talk about because it's not often do like people really choose to come back. Unless it was something that was like an accidental thing or they have some sort of like big motivation for returning. So, yeah.
Okay,
And I
That's
did
true,
find my
I-
notes.
I
keep
forgot.
going.
I forgot about that. It's a very fair point,
just-
Nuri.
Well, thank you. I study death a lot, not in a creepy way. Okay.
You do practice necromancy. That's true. Yeah. Yes.
So we have 6 total potions plus the fire one I found.
I think we should keep the potions.
Yes. We have a ring, a quiver, which I think we could sell, a rod, goggles. We have this cool globe. I have no idea what it does, but I can save some time to tell us what all of this is. And we have some boots, and we also have this cute little bag.
Cute little what?
Bag.
Bag.
Yeah, like a little pouch, little bag.
Oh.
And a little heart-shaped amulet as well.
Oh, and I forgot about this necklace. That's here too. It's down at the bottom. My bad. All agree to sell the quiver? Because if so, we could all Douse can go to his meeting or that he has. I'm sure it's very important. Just life or death here.
Yes. I'll say we could sell the quiver as well. I'll be all for that.
Yeah, same here.
As for my share of the reward, however we're going to do that, I'll leave that up to you guys.
Okay. Well, in that case, I can take some time to tell us what all of this stuff does, so we can give it to each other in the proper way, and Douse can go to his meeting, and we can go sell this for some diamonds, and we can bring back Zane. Everything will be right. And then also, I have some other things to talk about when everyone's back and we've had a chance to clear our heads. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, wonderful. Come on, Amaris, let's go buy some diamonds. And I'm gonna just grab Amaris as I start walking out.
Mars
Well-
isn't there.
Well,
She's
you
still
didn't come back
ready,
in total? I thought you were at the door. Never mind. Well, I'll say
Nope,
that. I'll be
She
like,
left.
Okay.
right after I find Amaris, and then I'll leave.
Okay. Alrighty. So, Amaris, what are you doing? You left?
Yeah, Amaris is at this point just wandering the town, trying to, one, just clear her head and just calm down. Because she knows if she doesn't do anything, she's gonna break down again, and she doesn't really want to. So she's basically wandering the town, not really paying attention to where she's going.
Okay. Alrighty. So you're wandering the town, and you actually end up wandering into the town square, where you see Girth and Tax passing away their last loaf of bread that Girth had made. And you, because they're handing it out to various people who had homes that were wrecked or had family members that perished. You see that the town is working together to really help each other, starting to rebuild homes. As some people who had their homes kind of broken, who would constantly forget about the giant gaping snake hole in the wall. But you do see this dragonborn couple. The male dragonborn, well, actually, both of them seem to be kind of helping guide people to different things that they're doing, just coordinating the efforts. You see this group of old folks with these children kind of around them. The older people are kind of regaling stories, and the children are listening as they're putting little tiny flowers in their hair. You do see that the female dragonborn has a baby slung around her. Is there anything you want to do while you're here?
Nope, she tries to avoid the crowd.
Oh, okay. Alrighty, so you can't really avoid the crowd in the town square, but you can kind of go down a side alley and go down to some areas that aren't as crowded. Okay,
Yeah.
you can do so. All right, we'll switch back to Merilla, Nuri, and Dusty. Anything? What are you guys doing?
Well, I left because I went to go find Amaris,
Ah,
and
I see.
I take the quiver with me. None of the other magic items, just the quiver. But
Okay.
I went to go find Amaris.
Alrighty. So you can head and do that. Make a survival check. A 9. You know, Sierra, I don't know how, but I feel like every time you're a player, you just roll really low all the time. It's so sad. Okay. You make it to the town square. You see everything that I described, but you do not see Amaris.
I'm gonna summon Houdini and have him go searching around with his super sharp owl eye.
Okay. All right. Have Houdini make an investigation or survival. Actually, yeah, either investigation or survival. Okay. And while you're working on that, um, Merilla, Dusty, what are you guys doing?
Dusty's just kind of gonna stick with Douse. If he like leaves, he's just gonna follow him. Otherwise, he's here.
Okay. Marilla?
So if Dusty's leaving, then Merilla is also going to walk out, not like follow them, but she's
Mhm.
going to also leave the tavern.
Okay. And what are you going to do once you leave the tavern?
Is the town square and stuff like right in front of the tavern, or is it?
No, it's like down the ways a little bit. Like you make a right and you can kind of like see it maybe about like 40 paces away. So not too far.
Hmm. She's gonna follow Douse and Dusty.
Okay. Which brings us
Douse is
back
just
to
going
Douse.
upstairs to dry off and get ready for his meeting.
Okay.
I
So
will let him
after
do
you okay. So you dry off. You have to actually use the towels that the inn has provided for you. Because magic won't let it work. Um, and you're able to come back down. It's still a little damp. Your clothes are really wet. Are you gonna just like change out into drier clothes? Because
Yep.
okay. So you can change into drier clothes, um, or into dry clothes. Leave the rest of it out to like hang dry. Um, yeah,
I'll try to use shape water once or twice to like get rid of the water, see if it works.
it's not working.
All right, then I'll do it the old-fashioned way, even though I'll probably be struggling to figure it out.
Okay. All right, you do so and you head downstairs. Um, and you head out of the tavern. And we'll pause on that real quick. Sierra, you got a 17 for survival for Houdini. Okay. So Houdini, um, you hear him in your mind and he goes, I found her. I found her. She's down one of the alleyways over here.
Oh, good job, Houdini. I can always count on you. I'm gonna go follow his
Yeah.
directions.
Yeah. Just head down, take a right, immediate left, and then you gotta go straight for a little bit, and then take the like fourth right, and he like kind of trails off.
Okay.
And as you kind of follow his directions, and he actually seems to be, you kind of can see him up in the sky as you turn the corner and you see Amaris.
Oh, Amaris, there you are. I was so worried about you for a moment. Couldn't find you. It was a little stressful. Are you doing okay? That's a stupid question to ask, wasn't it? I'm sorry.
Amaris just kind of stands there for a bit. No, I'm not gonna make you roll for this. She just stands there for a bit and then turns around, like with a little bit of a smile on her face and just be like, yeah, I'm fine. Of course I'm fine.
Gonna just walk up and link my arm with yous, with yours, with yous, with there's multiple yous right now. I'm just kidding. with you, and I'm just gonna be like, no, you're not. You're not fine. It was stupid of me to ask. I was just rambling, and I'm sorry. It would be ridiculous to expect you to be fine or okay in this situation. But I've been working on a solution. I pull out the quiver, and we've all agreed to sell this. I'm sure it'll be worth at least a diamond, if not more. Shall we go get a diamond?
How can we be certain it's gonna cost enough?
Pretty sure this is magical. I can do it in just like a minute real quick. I'm gonna just take a minute and I'm gonna like use my ability I have where I can make a ritual casting one time per day into its actual casting time, which is 1 minute for this one, and just cast identify.
Okay. Alrighty. So it takes you a minute as you kind of trace your hands over the edges of the quiver. It feels like very hard leather, with like a sheen of this emerald cloth over it, very elven-like in nature. And you do discover it as the quiver of Elona.
General ballpark, what I could assume it's worth. Sounds like
Um, I'm pulling up the item here real quick because I haven't had to pull it up in a hot minute. Um,
Roll your merchant skill.
it's a wondrous item uncommon.
That's actually super dope. I'm sure this is worth at least a diamond. This is actually really nice. Really nice.
Let's see how much we can get for it first.
So for about an uncommon item, you can gauge it's about 500 gold for an uncommon magical item.
But a wondrous one.
Wondrous is more like the way it was made and the effects that it does are a little bit more like uncommon, right? So you could probably, and I'm just giving like a ballpark. Some people will cost that less, some people will cost it more. It depends on like the merchant that you go to. But I guess also since you and Amaris are both from a company, have a company, the Leodon Shipping Company, that trades in more like rare items and stuff like that, you would know that this would be worth about like 800 gold, no less.
It'll be net. We'll go sell it. Well, okay, I'm gonna drag Amaris with me and try and get her to come with me to go sell it.
Okay, since you guys
Amaris goes
are
with you.
alrighty, we're just gonna be chilling on the Dragondale image. Okay. Where are you gonna go?
I'm gonna stop one of the townsfolk for a moment.
Yeah, you see two guys that are like carrying a plank of like wood over them.
Excuse me, sirs, quick question. As I'm just kind of like skip up.
Yeah.
Do you have like a shop where we can like buy magical items or like a merchant good trader place so that we could find some magical items?
Well, we do have one that's down by the town square, a little down the ways. We have like a magic item shop. There's not much there, and to be fair, there's probably not much for sale. Oh, they'll more than happily sell to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Also, do you have a gem store at all? Looking for a ring to give my husband. All the gems that you can buy here.
Ah, alas, that's what we do. We don't have a gemstone dealer here in this town. Usually,
Well, that's
any
all right.
gems we get are imported for, the church for healing. Most people go to either Steel Glen or to the capital for that.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, when I'm there, I'll look for a ring instead. Thank you. And I'm going to just walk away.
Okay.
I'm going to go to where they said with Amaris.
Okay. So you guys can start heading your way down there. We're gonna go back to Douse, Merilla, and Dusty. While you guys are doing so, you guys make it back to the town square where you see Girth is just packing up a basket full of ingredients and stuff that other townspeople have given her. And Tax is kind of holding onto the skirts of her mother's outfit.
I would approach like, hey, I'm back. I'm here. How's it going? I brought some. I guess I brought some help. And I'll lean over to Tax. Like, he kind of just followed me.
Tax just grins and she like jumps at Dusty.
She just kind of opens his arms and catches her. It's like, good to see you.
And she just nods and points at you. And just this big goofy grin. And then she kind of like, oh, I just knocked this. She kind of like leans up to you and says, and points like kind of obviously points at Douse, and she goes, he's really nice.
Dusty, he's got his head like comically down because he's 6.5 feet tall.
Mhm.
So he's got his head like really close to the ground. And she says that, and he kind of chuckles to himself. And then he puts one hand up and he says, I know.
At this point, if you look over at Douse, he's trying to flick water at her, but it's not working.
Yep. No water.
He's just like, yes, I already know that. And then he kind of stands, like, sits himself back up, and he's like, I wasn't actually expecting to be here, but it's a happy surprise. I recognize the path. What did you need help with, Girth?
Oh, well, I was just baking some bread, and Douse offered to come and help out with making the bread. And, well, sorry, I have to get back into her accent. Douse offered to help with making the bread, and, well, he wanted to learn the recipe. You all are more than welcome to come and learn the recipe and help out.
Red.
Her eyes kind of like narrow and like with like mirth. As she looks at you and she just goes, you can learn the recipe and eat a loaf yourself.
Yes, I'll gladly help you. What do I do now? What do we do? What do we do?
Oh, a little over
But it's
eager there.
amazing.
Well, let's head back to my house and we'll be able to go and get and make the bread. So let's just head on back.
Merilla's
Uh,
already walking in the direction she's guessing.
She's like, alrighty. Girth starts coming coming next to you. I'm assuming Douse at her side as well.
Is Douse still wet?
No,
No,
I
he's dry.
specifically went to dry off.
Um,
And yeah, I would be following along.
okay, awesome. Dusty Tax kind of reaches her arms up towards you.
Picks her up, puts her on his shoulders.
She just like giggles in excitement. As she is now riding above the world. And she starts like pointing out random things to you, not saying anything, but just like pointing and kind of like grabbing her hand is like on your forehead, just like totally gripping. Well, I guess it would be on the bandages that are around your forehead as she's just like pointing at random things.
He seems to be entirely responsive the whole time. Like anytime she points, he like looks over, like pretty enthusiastically to see what she's gesturing to.
Yes. Okay. And she loves that. And she'll just point at random things. All the way back to the house. And you guys make it in there. She sets down the basket of ingredients and she begins to start um mostly teaching Merilla and Douse, both of you guys. She starts to teach you like the ingredients, um, what she adds into the bread, kind of like all the mixtures, the way to knead the bread. Um, as you guys are going through your instruction here, Dusty, you have Tax actually kind of brings you over, kind of away from the bread making to a little table that you remember, a little small table next to her little bed with lots of different like parchments and papers and colored like pencils and stuff, pretty much the equivalent of this time. Um, of colors and stuff as she starts drawing. And she actually starts drawing a picture of your group, wearing all like red capes and um, looking very heroic with it, you know. Um,
Douse would be going in detail, like, so why did you choose this spice to go with it, or like why? What does that do? Like asking in detail different things about why they work.
okay. Perfect. And she starts going into kind of like the science of it all. She's like, okay, well, like if you she starts talking about the spices that she uses, like for taste, talking about the different like ones that she actually will knead into the bread. Um, and she actually makes kind of just like a basic wheat bread. Um, and then she separates it into two batches. Um, she actually corrects you on your kneading at one point as she's like, practice is how you learn. But she kind of helps you like guide your hands to knead it a little bit better. Um, and she teaches you the secret of like making cheese bread and she's like, you got to knead the cheese into it, like
Cheese.
mm-hmm. Because that's one of half of it she's making like cheese bread and stuff. Adds a couple extra spices in there. Mm-hmm.
Douse has no clue how much water to put in because he's used to just doing it himself.
She's like, well, she has like some water that was kind of like over a fire. She's like, you want warm water. And she had pulled it off to cool right before you guys came in, so it wasn't anything like too hot. Um, when you were first mixing it and everything, she's like, it activates the yeast inside the bread and like this whole thing. Um, when it's warm water. And you get this full deep dive into bread making. Especially her bread.
This is wonderful. He's absorbing it all, just
Mm-hmm.
mentally.
That's perfect.
This
Uh,
whole time, by this time, Dusty's been drawing with Dax for a little bit.
Mhm.
He probably would draw something like a scorpion or some kind of a desert creature, scorpions, snakes, cats,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of stuff.
She points to your picture of the scorpion. She goes, Dusty!
That's right. I modeled it after him. Got the proportions wrong though. And he kind of tilts his head. Oh well. Drawing's about having fun anyways.
Okay. She just kind of smiles at that and she draws a little like flower on next to Dusty on the picture.
Awesome. He's just kind of watching and he's like drawing a landscape behind it as well. He decides since there's a flower, it has to be an oasis. So, because it is in the desert, that's where his brain's going. So he starts adding like trees and water flowing through.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now you have this beautiful drawing of this oasis, well, childish drawing of a scorpion in an oasis. And she finishes her picture of your entire group in her, childish stick figure kind of way. Um, she makes Dusty, you, the biggest person on the page. Um, drawing she seems to have had practice drawing you over the years, and so she like knows how to actually draw your bandages and your wrappings and your goggles and everything. And then she kind of like it takes her a little bit longer on everyone else, and on Douse he doesn't have any color other than blue. And she's like drawing him. um and then like coloring in the pink hair of Nuri and like the purple dress of Amaris. Um like more like triangle dresses. But and then on Merilla she like draws like this brown square in her hands. Um and she just like points at the brown square and then points at
This
the
kid knows
bread.
what's up.
She knows.
Dusty nods.
hmm And you see her kind of like looking at the picture and then like kind of looking at the three of you, and she looks at Marilla and she kind of like quirks her eyes a little bit and then grabs like the blue and like draws like two lines on her cheeks. Um
She understands the lore significance.
The lore.
She
the
truly
lore.
is. She truly is the best NPC.
Pax is the greatest. She's such a cutie. Um but she like kind of like marks that in there. Um and then she's like she turns to you, Dusty, and she says, "Let's hang this one up." Um, and you actually see, so there was like the little tarp that kind of separated her bed from like the rest of the little one room house. Um, and you can kind of like that on the other side that faces her, she actually like that they actually pin a lot of her drawings to this like sheet. So there's like tons of old drawings that you guys have done together. She pins the little scorpion up there and then pins the picture of her rescuers up there. And then she goes to work drawing another one.
Can Merilla see it from where she is kneading?
Yeah, you can definitely see it. You guys are all in the same room.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't like all facing away.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like politely nodding to Girth, like she's just in it for the bread.
You just want the bread at the end. You're like, mm-hmm. Like her and Girth and Douse are like firing like question answer, correction, like like all this stuff. Like they're just going back and forth as you're just happily kneading.
Sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can like squint at the picture that Tax just pinned up.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good, Tax. Well, you are quite the little artist.
She smiles and grins, and she says, she points at Dusty and she goes, "Dusty taught me."
Just look over at Dusty. Did you really, Dusty?
You see Dusty, he kind of puts his hand up to the back of his head and he's like, "Well, I basically just showed her how to draw a little bit, but she's honestly better than I am, I think."
Let's go look at the picture again. And she's gonna look at Tax. Wow, Tax, that's amazing. Good job.
She just smiles and kind of like puts her hands behind her back, kind of like interlocking her fingers, and as she kind of like twists a little bit, kind of like shyly, but like still smiling, you can see that. And you hear just a very soft and quiet like, "Thank you."
You're
Um,
welcome.
and then she goes back to drawing her other picture. Um, and let's see, back to Douse here. So you managed to get the recipe for both Girth's special bread is what they call it, and her cheese bread.
Score.
Hmm. And if you want, you can ask her the secret to her special bread.
Oh, I need to get the secret.
Hmm.
Like, all right. I'd be sitting there tasting mine at the end. Like, all right, mine tastes a little different than yours. What is it? What is this?
She kind of smiles and she says, "Well," she kind of like lowers her voice a little bit as she is making sure Tax isn't hearing, and she goes, "One of the biggest things is our imagination. When you call something special, they instantly think it's more special than what it is. It's the same recipe that we just were talking about here, but that's what makes it special. Is you call it special. You make it special." And then she goes,
That is,
"Oh, and I add honey."
and you had, it's like sitting there, like trying to piece together all this. I was like, honey. He just kind of like turns his head and looks at her, just like, you completely got me, kind of a face.
She smiles. She smiles a big, like her tusks kind of make it a little tricky to do like a big wide smile. Um, but she still grins and she goes, "But I wasn't lying about the special thing. That actually does, sorry, that actually does work a lot more when you're making special bread. The secret ingredient is nothing."
Gotcha. So you add a little bit of something, and then you say it's nothing, and it expands that something into so much more.
She just kind of laughs and claps her hand on your shoulder and she goes, "One day you'll see."
He's just kind of like, he's going deeper into this thought of like, how does this work? Trying to understand it.
As you're just having a mental breakdown, like, what?
Marilla's gonna take a little bit of the
Not,
dough that she's
not
kneading.
a
And she's gonna
breakdown, but just those mind blown moments.
The dough that you put in your mouth, it's actually like it's sweet, but the texture of dough like isn't very good and it's just like you can tell it's uncooked. It's not meant to be consumed raw.
it's just a little piece.
Yeah, just
She
a
just
little
wants
smidgen
something in
as
her
you
mouth.
test it. Hmm. And you guys are able to bake the bread. Um, it takes a little bit, but you do get the loaves in the oven and start baking them.
While the bread is baking, if that's okay.
Mhm.
Marilla is going to go over to Tax's picture and she's going to look at it a bit closer.
Okay.
Tax, this really is rather amazing. I love that you added the brown square, which I'm assuming is bread in my hand. It's very good.
Hmm.
And Marilla knows the answer, but she wants to know Tax's response. Tax, I've noticed you added some blue lines on my face.
She nods.
Why was that?
Um, she um she just kind of looks at you and she's like, "You you've got blue on your face." And
No,
then
I do. Should probably wash that off someday. It's important to have a clean face.
you see her kind of reach out towards your face. Are you gonna let her
She lets
touch?
her.
Okay. She kind of like touches it and like kind of rubs the blue markings on your face
The saggy skin moves.
with it. And she goes, "Why is your skin blue?" And then she kind of like corrects herself a little bit as she looks over at Douse. And she's like, "Well, I know why he's blue. But like only a
You do.
bit of your only a bit of your face is blue."
Have you ever seen anything like it before?
Mm-mm.
I thought that'd be the answer. It's alright, though. That's a good question. I've always had them. Like you have always had a nose. And she's going to kind of like bop her nose.
She kind of rubs it. She goes, "Well, I think they look very pretty."
Oh,
Mhm.
why, thank you. It's very nice of you, Tax. Good at heart and a nice person, too.
She kind of like motions for you to come down a little bit. So
It's
she
not
can
far, but she does.
yeah. And she goes, and she kind of whispers into your ear and she goes, "I think they make you special."
Merlin kind of takes that in for a moment. She's like, perhaps they do.
And she,
What kind of special, though?
what kind of special? Is that what you said?
Mhm.
And then she kind of, and then she kind of gets a goofy grin, and she's like, "Hmm." And then she kind of like looks at Dusty and gets this big goofy grin, and she goes, "Maybe you can turn into a unicorn."
Merilla loves this. And like, at the sound of unicorn, Marilla's like, I love unicorns. Do you love unicorns?
She goes, "I've never seen a unicorn. Only Dusty's little head thing."
Yes, Dusty does have a unicorn of a sort. Yes.
Mhm. I think they're
I've never
cool.
seen a unicorn either.
Mhm. Mama says they're really important.
They are very important. She's very smart, your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Some things just could not be without unicorns.
She nods her head.
Now, someday, Dax, when you do see a unicorn, you're going to have to whistle something very important.
What is it?
I did this to myself.
She kind of like brings her mouth and she's I know how to whistle, but Tax doesn't. She's like
Okay. Good. Good. Now remember that and save it for when you meet a unicorn.
You really think I'll meet one?
Who knows? But who knows that you won't?
Kind of smiles and she goes, "Ooh."
Oh, it can only at special times, but remember it. Don't remember it here, Tax. Remember it here.
Kind of like puts her hands at her chest and she nods.
Very good. Is the bread done yet, girls?
It seems to be about 10 minutes off cooking. She Tax actually turns to Dusty and she goes, You know, when I meet a unicorn, because now it's a when, not an if.
Good, good.
She goes, I think you would probably also be there. She talks to you, Dusty. She motions to Dusty and says that. Sorry.
Okay.
And she says, because unicorns are super good, so I would assume they want good people with them. And you're a good person. And then she points at Douse and she goes, and he's a good person too. And then she points at Merilla and she's like, she likes to eat a lot, but she's a good person too.
Dusty's kind of nodding affirmatively to all these statements. She's like, yeah, I suppose so. You'd definitely be there, Tax.
She smiles and she goes, mm-hmm. I'm gonna ride a unicorn one day, if it'll let me.
Yeah, you might want to check with it first.
Yes, I agree.
She
It's
just
always
laughs.
wise to respect unicorns.
She nods her head. And then she says, I heard there a story that that there's a unicorn in the ocean.
A unicorn in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it lives?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any idea either.
Well, this story that I heard is that it like dances across the way.
So the unicorn walks on the water or runs.
Mm-hmm. That's just what I heard. It was from this stranger. He had blue hair like Douse.
Was he also short?
Nah, he was tall. But I had to get to bed, so Mom and Dad brought me home.
Would Douse know anything about this unicorn?
You would remember as she's kind of bringing this up, like some of the folklore that you like had down at the monastery. And one of them was of like sometimes in the brightest daytimes, like during the spring, um, people could almost the crashing of the waves down kind of near the edge of the shores almost would look you could almost see like in the sea foam of like this dancing white unicorn across the waves. Um, but it would almost be like made out of sea foam. So it's kind of this like old lore, kind of like folk folklore pretty much. You wouldn't know it to be true or not. You had never seen it, but it's kind of like a children's tale that they would tell like some of the water genasies when they're younger. Is the unicorn that rides in the sea foam.
Okay, I'd be like, um, I'd be like, well, I heard that there was this one time, this one of my friends I had heard, he was not really a friend, but I met this guy, and then I would just kind of start going through one of those folklores as if it was my friend who had seen it or had it happen.
She goes, really? He saw a unicorn?
Rilla
Yeah.
says the same thing. Really?
I'd kind of look at Merilla like, oh. But look at Tax.
You're
like,
kind of hard to hear right now.
Sorry. I'd look at Merilla and just like, kind of like a little bit of like a doubtful look, like, not really. But looking at Tax, like, yeah, trying to like keep her hopes up.
Rilla's gonna be like,
And Tax is just amazed and enthralled by the story. And she goes, I want to see the ocean one day and see the unicorn dancing.
Well, maybe one day we could take him. Dusty has had some experience over in the ocean. He might know the area.
And she goes over, she starts like grabbing on your like wrappings, Dusty, and she goes, take me, please.
I look at Dusty and I just give him like this evil smirk of like, I just sold you down the river with
Dusty, I thought you were from the desert.
Dusty, like, he jolts up as she's like grabbing his wrappings, and he's like, wrapping stacks. And he puts up his hand. And he's like,
She lets go.
he's like, it's all right. Yeah, I've been to the ocean before. I studied magic there for a little bit. Different magics.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Didn't learn anything about unicorns there though. I guess that was more intuitive about unicorns.
So many questions.
What sea? Dusty.
And he cocks his head a little bit, and he's like, same one that Douse is from. Same monastery, actually. And it is up there on the map, right over there. It is the Narrow. Monastery, was that the
Yeah,
correct
the
place?
monastery is called
Narrow
Narrow.
Ocean. Okay.
So the monastery is called Narrow. The ocean isn't called Narrow, but
So the Northern Sea.
Yes.
mhm.
She kind of like takes that in. I have to ask Dusty. You said intuitive knowledge about unicorns.
Yes.
Something that you know without knowing, deep inside.
Yeah. Mostly like an image. I'm able to conjure that totem that you see. But I suppose it comes from the type of magic that I use. It's connected to nature and the land.
Which unicorns are very connected to.
Exactly. So I don't know too much about them, but there's something about them that's different.
Vicariously through something else.
Exactly.
Not directly.
It's a fey magic. It's kind of something that connects me to them just because of what I use. Or at least I figure that's why. And he kind of shrugs. He's like, I'm not too versed in magic.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. She's just going to be silent and thinking to herself.
Okay.
Yeah, Dusty has kind of paused from his drawing to talk to you, but he returns back to you. He's drawing a snake now. It is significantly better than Tax's drawings, by the way.
The snake is?
Him drawing, because these are things he's seen. He knows them in and out, so significantly better than hers.
Oh, I see.
Significantly better. But he says that hers are better, so.
Okay, I see. So she also goes back to her drawing. She seems to be drawing your group again. From that point, we are going to go back to Nuri and Amaris. Alrighty, hello. You guys are walking down through the town square. You can make your way to the mouth of this store. It doesn't seem you see the store.
Go on in.
Okay. It is locked.
Is there a window I can look through?
Yeah, you can look through the window. It's like a storefront window.
Is the merchant for it dead? No.
You see that it's empty inside.
I'll knock very loudly on it for a moment.
Okay, you knock very loudly on the door. You wait a minute or two and there's no response.
Okay, new plan. We'll just go directly to the cleric and give him it. We both know it's worth at least 800. We're not gonna let him talk us out of that. And yes, this will be fine.
Hey, you! You see this guy, kind of like leaning against one of the building walls, and he seems to like be just kind of like leaning back there, and he's like, "You trying to get in there?"
Oh yes, I wanted to buy a magic item, but it seems like it's closed. So oh well.
He goes, "Yeah, most of everything's closed right now. They're all helping rebuild and unify."
Oh, so smart. Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Thank you, random stranger. What's your name?
Tim.
Tim. Oh, how lovely. Avoid the wells, Tim. They're dangerous. I'm gonna grab a Mars and walk towards the cleric's place.
He just kind of holds up his water skin and takes a swig. It seems like he's kind of on a break right now.
I'm gonna just mumble to Amaris. Hooligans. We should be careful of them.
Okay.
Mars just kind of like,
Go to the
So
cleric's place.
you go to the cleric's place. Okay, you can easily make it back there. You go back there and it seems to be more crowded. Not like with people upset, but when you enter in, you see a lot of people who are like giving their prayers, and like worshiping in the main room there. Um, and then when you enter in through like the side door, you see Dane, who has now been moved to one of the beds that are further back in the room. Um, as you see that there are quite a few other people with like scrapes and dings and like um other various like little injuries that are just being tended to. They're not nothing major or anything, but you do see the cleric guy helping um this guy who looks like he got banged on the head with with something. His head is kind of there's like a little bit of like dried blood on there. So
Mars is just gonna like lean over to Nuri and just be like, since when was Douse here?
Burn. Gonna lean back, be like, maybe he fell in a well.
Oh, he definitely fell in the well. I'm not sure how. He's too short to reach the top.
That man over there, I meant that man probably fell in a well as well, because Douse definitely fell in a well. 100% did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Be nice, she kind of says to herself as she goes up to the cleric.
you see him just finishing up casting Cure Wounds on this guy. Um, um, and the guy just um and the guy you see as the light kind of emanates from the wound and heals over, and he kind of shakes his head and he goes, "Oh, well, there goes my headache." And he passes over a couple silver and walks out.
Well, we never did get this cleric's name. Or if we did, Nuri didn't care enough to write it down, which is new for her. So she walks up and goes, "Oh, cleric, we're back. Hello."
Trying to see if I wrote down a name for him. Yeah, I don't
we ever
think you
did.
ever. Yeah, I don't think you ever got his name. What is he even? Did you even get his race?
He's
Okay.
like an old man, I believe. Just
Yes,
like an older man.
he's an old
Human.
human man. We're gonna go with it.
Canon.
It is canon now. Old human man.
Cleric.
With glasses on and wearing some like white robes with like a golden sash on them. I did describe that last session. I do remember that. Okay. So you just asked him his name?
Oh no. I just said, hello, cleric.
He goes, "Hello."
Well, we're back. We would love to resurrect Dane. We have this beautiful magical item that is worth at least 800 gold that we want to use.
Amaris is going to turn to Nuri and is just like, Nuri, 800, and like turns to the cleric and just be like, and if you agree, if it's just 800, then by all means we can use it for that much. And then turns back to Nuri and just be like, but we both know on further inspection that this leather is very hard to come by and very well crafted. Like, obviously trying to just be like, oh, it should be worth way more.
Well, that is true. That is true, Mars. When you do take into account the craftsmanship, it's only made by the finest elves. That is true. So it should be actually worth more.
Make a persuasion check, one of you guys. And since you're both doing it, one of you make it with advantage because you're assisting the other.
Who has a higher persuasion? I think
That's
you do.
what
You're a bard.
Let's see, persuasion. I've got a +3.
Yeah, I got a 2. You do it. You're better at it.
All right. With advantage. So, oh, that's a nat 20.
Dang, okay. He goes, well, well, it does look like very fine quality. We don't normally accept items like this, but may I?
I gently hand it over as if it's a very prized thing, kind of dust off. I'm like, please be careful. It's hard to find things like this.
He says, of course, of course. He actually sets it down on the bed and he goes, I'll just cast identify real quick. As he is going to expend a spell slot to cast identify on it.
While he's doing that, just behind his back, I'm gonna just like give Amaris a little fist bump.
Okay. You guys fist bump. He finishes the casting of Identify, which I believe if you're expending a spell slot, that's just one action, or is it still 10 minutes for the ritual cast?
So the casting time for Identify is 1 minute.
1
10
minute.
minutes if it's a ritual.
Okay. But you have a feature that you can change the ritual to a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
But only like once a day.
Yeah. Okay. So pretty much what he does is he uses a spell slot to cast it in 1 minute. Kind of inspecting the leather and everything, and he goes, This is indeed fine quality. I'd say maybe 850.
Spark of rage in my eyes, so I'm gonna just turn away.
Amaris is just gonna be like, 850. She turns to Nuri and just be like, 850. Do you feel that sounds right?
To Amaris. I mean, if that's what I'll take it at, by all means, then. But it's definitely worth more than 850. After all, this is definitely done by one of the best elves who've ever made it. I'm sure it actually probably be done by cheeky Leafwind. I'm pretty sure. Very hard elf to get things made by. She only makes a few things and finest quality.
Oh yes. You can definitely see that in the way that it's crafted.
Definitely Kiki.
Ma'ams, I don't doubt the quality of this. it's more of a matter of perspective from the church of are we able to use this? Can we give back to others with it? It is a quiver. I'm
Yes, it is a quiver, but if there is someone in need who comes to your temple and they just so happen to have lost their quiver and arrows, you have a way to provide for them from one of the finest crafters in the Elven Kingdoms.
And it holds more than just bolts. It holds, what are those called? Javelins. This is extremely helpful to a lot of people. And staffs and quarterstaffs. It's actually extremely helpful. I'd use it myself, but family's more important.
If you were to add the ring into the mix, that would suffice for the cost of the ritual.
Amaris fingers, like, just kind of fidgets with the ring that is on her hand. And then just, like, quietly over to Nuri and just be like, what else do we have that no one in the party can use?
Well, I left all the other stuff with them. Oh, give me a sec. Let me think. How about a different ring? One that doesn't have initials on it. And I'm going to pull off my wedding ring and lift that up.
No. Amaris is gonna, like, slap her hand over yours to keep you from pulling it off. No, just to keep you from taking it off, and just be like, Nuri, that is your wedding ring. You are not giving that away.
But just going off of, general, would this be equal? I mean, I will actually take it off and just lift it up and be like, no initials on it? Very pretty.
He raises his hands. He goes, I will not deprive a woman of her wedding ring.
Pretty much what you are doing. It's the same thing. Solaris and not picking a quiver, but taking rings from poor women who. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. My bad.
He looks uncomfortable at this point.
I'm sorry. Is there any way Solaris could show us some great, generous, and honestly very much needed help? Please. Is there any way? This is only 150 short of exactly the exact amount of what a diamond is worth. And you were willing to bend just a little for my dear cousin's ring, which is just as important as a wedding ring, honestly. It's pretty much the only thing she has left of her father.
Roll persuasion.
Okay.
Can I help with this so that she has advantage?
What are you going to say?
Well, not really much what she says, more of what she does, just to kind of show, like, oh, this is a very serious situation. Just kind of like rubbing Nuri's back and just being like, oh, please don't cry, and all that.
Sure, get advantage.
For persuasion? Okay.
16.
16. Okay. He He sighs heavily, and he looks back at the quiver, that's still laying on the bed, and he says, I will do this for you, for the quiver.
Thank you so much, kind sir. What's your name?
He says, it's not my kindness. It is Solaris.
Sweet Solaris. How can
Thank
I
you
ever
so
thank you
much,
enough?
good sir.
It will be an ordeal, and one of you will need to be there to call her back. If she does not wish to return, that is her bidding to do so. And for that, that's what I can do.
Thank
I will
you.
stay here to call her back.
Okay. Alrighty. So he takes the quiver and he exits the room, and about 10 minutes later he comes back um with a little box. Not that big. Not too big, not too small. And he comes to the back of the corner of the room. And you actually see, like, by the bed, there's like some curtains that are like kind of pushed against the walls. Like, they don't really draw them very often. But there are curtains that they can use to separate the beds and stuff. Um, and he pulls the curtains closed so people don't watch the resurrection. Um, he opens up the chest and you see this beautiful diamond in there. Also, the last diamond that they have. Um, as he pulls it out, and I'm gonna need to pull up the stats on resurrection here real quick. As he kind of he's holding the diamond over her body. Okay. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. I should have pulled up before. Um, come on. Resurrection. Resurrection. Bring me there, please.
Does he like chant it all once he's holding it? Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. I don't know what he's doing.
No, he doesn't chant like that.
Okay. I tried.
It's okay. Okay.
Is it only Amaris behind the curtain?
I can assume that Nuri's also there if she wants to be there.
Yeah, I'm there as well.
Okay. Well, he has a stool for Amaris to sit next to Dane. And he grabs Dane's hand and he places it in your own. And he says, "Hold on tightly."
And she holds on tight while, like, at the same time, just kind of like rubbing the back of Dane's hand with her thumb.
Okay. Alrighty. Um, all right. And he says it may take so the time of casting resurrection does take 1 hour. So be prepared to wait a hot minute. But during this time, the rest of the party's baking. So,
They're distracted. You got all
they're
the time in the world.
distracted. Exactly.
We're making bread. You're making lives.
Exactly.
I mean, the connection is a unicorn, right?
So he holds the diamond up over her. And as he begins kind of like basically saying a prayer to Solaris. It actually slides in and out of various dialects and languages as he gives this prayer. Um, so parts of it you can't understand, others are just said so quietly it's hard to hear. Um, as he begins to pray and a light begins to kind of emit from the diamond. Um, and it takes a long time, about like 30 minutes, before, like, to you guys, like, before anything actually happens. About 30 minutes in is when the diamond, it has been glowing this whole time, steadily growing a little brighter. But finally, the diamond, it doesn't quite shatter in a sense. It grows brighter, until it just, you can't even tell that it's a diamond anymore. Um, it's just this bright yellow light, warm and inviting. Um, and then suddenly the light speckles fade, and not fade, but they sparkle down from where his hands are, like, kind of curled in a circle. Where they were holding the diamond, and the light kind of fades. His eyes are half open, half closed, as the sparkles of light spread in the air above Dane and begin to trickle down. You see them kind of like absorb into her body. Um, you see almost a bit more of like a warmer glow to her face, but not quite living, if that makes sense. Um, as this light goes into her and descends. Um, you feel a chill pass through the air. Um, and um, and then a warmth washes over you, Amaris, as you're gripping tightly onto this hand. Um, and you almost feel like a tug on the hand. There's no actual physical tug. But you almost feel like you're being pulled, and you kind of blink your eyes, and you blink, and as you open them, you're on this hill. You're at the top of a grassy slope. Um, at the top of the hill, right behind you, is this bright, warm light. Brighter than anything. You can't see beyond this light. It's warm, it's inviting. For you, it's life, it's enjoyment. It's hardships as well, but to you, it's where you want to be, and you feel good there. Um, you see a little further down the hill, um, actually way further down the hill at the very bottom, there is this very low stone fence, very old fence, that just spans as far as you can see in either direction. Okay, and it seems like in either direction, the hillside continues as well. Um, Beyond this wall, there are a few archways built into various sections of this little stone wall, this short stone wall. There's some archways built there. But beyond it, it's dark. It's shadowy. To you, it seems cold, and you don't want to go there. It seems empty. Um, Few barren and dead trees beyond that, and the grass is blackened and dark. Um, Trying to think. Yeah. Um, and you can see down on either way of the hillside, you can see um, other folk of various races, various things. There's some people who are walking down the hillside towards, actually most of them are walking down towards the hill, towards the darkness, towards death in this sense. You see kind of faintly off in the distance another person that's very close to the light, and they seem to be like calling out to someone who's about to pass through the archway into the dark. Um, but they're far enough away where you can see it faintly but not hear. You look around yourself, and you actually don't see anyone very close to you at this point.
Amaris is gonna look around some more, scan around in the people who are making their way towards the gate looking for Dane.
Okay. Make a perception check.
That is a 14.
14?
Yes.
Okay. Give me one sec. $14. Sorry, just looking at my notes here real quick. Okay, there it is. Look at this. Okay. Okay. 14? 14 for perception? Okay. You
Yes.
can actually see down the hillside. You see, you see Dane. You see her, just the back of her head, as she seems to be sitting on the wall, very down, um, at the bottom of the hill. Not in, not in there. A little leaning more towards the death area. She's sitting on the wall. Um, Kind of a leg on either side, almost straddling it, but her gaze is towards the dark.
Amaris is going to she stumbles forward a bit as her legs get a little weak, as she just feels a bit of relief that she's able to find Dane. But then she's able to get a hold of herself and start running down the hill, calling out to Dane.
Okay. You're running down the hill?
Yeah.
Okay. So you start running down the hill. And as you do so, it starts to get a little colder, as the lower you go. Um, and the warmth in you still glows brightly. Um, and the light is wonderful behind you, warming your back. As you get closer to the wall and everything, um, it doesn't seem as cold and lonely as it looked when you were up at the top of the hill. It actually, the dark side, the dark side, the lands beyond the wall actually seem comforting, seem restful. Um, as you continue down the hill dangerously, getting closer and closer to the wall, and the lands beyond seem more restful and more welcoming. Yet you still have this spark of life in you that knows and understands the warmth of the light. Um, as you were calling out to Dane, um, and she doesn't seem to respond, as she continuously still looks towards the land beyond.
Amaris makes it to the bottom of the hill and to the fence, and once again calls out to Dane. and reaches out to her.
Okay. So you are now like right next to Dane. So you reach out to her. Are you like trying to grab her shoulder or something, or are you just like,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so you reach out and you touch her shoulder and she feels cold, cold to the touch. Almost like you just touched like dry ice. You almost have to like pull back your hand for a second. Um as she kind of like turns towards you. Her eyes seem kind of glazed over, kind of glossy. Um as she just kind of looks at you strangely, kind of quirking her head a little bit. Her eyes are misted over a little gray.
Um, Amaris is sees this and is fighting back tears, and a little breathlessly, she's just like, Dane, it's me. It's Amaris.
Ah, Um, Amaris? As you hear her say that, very very soft and croaking out. Her eyes are still glazed over and dark.
Yes. Yes, it's me.
She doesn't say anything more as she continues to kind of quirk her eyes and um after a few moments she says, it, it's cold.
I know. um yeah, she's like, I know. I can take you somewhere where it's warmer. I can bring you home.
I can't see.
Amaris is going to try and just gently pull her off the fence, towards the side that she's on.
Okay. You can you reach out and again she's frigid to the touch. But this time when you
I
grab
don't
her
care.
but this time when you grab her you're more ready for it. And you can kind of grab her arm and you link arms together, reminding you of when you would link arms out in the fields that were so lively and green, full of strange flowers and everything. Um and you gently pull her off of the fence and now she's on the side that you're on.
Amaris is going to start gently leading her up the hill.
Okay. All right. As you start coming up the hill, she is going a lot slower, her footsteps treading heavy, as she's like kind of like going along with you. Um, and about halfway up the hill, she almost starts like not like pulling on you, but more of you like less willing to go in the sense of like it's harder for her to move the higher you go. As you
Um,
are you continuing?
Amaris just stops for a second, turns to Dane, and is just like, "What's wrong?"
She pants a little bit. It hurts. the light to you is warm. It's inviting. You don't even like remember the welcomingness of the well, I mean you do remember, but it's not present in your mind of the Shadowlands beyond. Right now for you, the light is warmth, it's happy. But for her it almost seems painful.
Amaris stops there with Dane for like for the time being. And she's gonna be like, Dane, I need you.
Okay. Okay. Her arm's still hooked with you, and she's not even looking in your face. She's still just looking blindly ahead as she says, I need. She seems to be almost like her teeth chattering. I need you to help me.
Yes, I am here to help you. And she's like very gently, because she knows this hurts for Dane, like very gently continues to lead her up the hill.
Okay. You start leading her back up the hill. And she seems to shiver so much more as you push up the hill. Um, and her teeth chatters, and you hear her whimpering as you start climbing up the mound. Um, and then she starts kind of tugging on your arm, and she's like,
Amaris is gonna stop again. And at this point, she doesn't care how cold Dane is. Like, she's willing to put up with how cold Dane is, like anything to bring her back. And just like wraps her in a hug, like hopefully to warm her, and just be like, it's okay, we're almost there.
You wrap her in a hug, and she continues to shiver and chatter, as she's just shaking so hard. Um, her skin looks pale, um, just very fragile here.
Amaris like looks up the hill to see how far left there is to go, and just be like, we're almost there. I'm here to help you.
She doesn't say anything, but just hooks her arm in yours, like hooks both arms around one, and just like bites her shirt in between her teeth. But she's still violently like shivering. But you can almost see like her give like a short like nod to you.
Quick question.
Yes,
Can I use spells in this realm?
you cannot.
Dang it. Well.
It's the hillside.
It's the hillside. So Amaris is going to like once again gently lead Dane up the hill. All the time, like trying her best to keep Dane warm, because she can't use spells here. So there's no way she can help in that way. So she's just trying her best. And as they start going up the hill again, she's gonna start humming a familiar tune, like a song that that Dane would sing to Amaris whenever Amaris was upset.
Oh, okay. You start to hum that tune, and you see her trying to stifle the whimpers of pain as you guys keep making it up the hill. And you guys start going further into the light, and she cries out in pain and falls to her knees. As you were literally mere steps away from entering into the light. Um, and she's on her knees, and she grabs onto your hand, this rigid, cold, icy hand, as it grips tightly. And she looks at you, and her eyes they were gray, and you now see that they transcend and twist and turn until they are black. And she says, "They've got me. They've got them." And then she cries out in pain again, and grabs onto her stomach.
Amaris just perhaps wraps her arms around Dane and just be like, "What? Who?"
She seems to just be incoherent, muttering something in a language you can't understand. She cries out in pain again as you're grabbing onto her, and she starts shouting, "Just finish it! Finish it!"
But you cut out as you were
Sorry.
saying that.
She said, "Just finish me."
Yeah, she said, "Just finish it! Finish it now!" She shouted.
Finish? She's just gonna be like, "Dane, we're right there. We can do this. We're so close."
She's just on the ground, writhing in pain.
Amaris doesn't want to see her in pain. She doesn't want to be the reason this pain is being caused, but at the same time, she can't lose Dane. Not again.
Okay.
So we're gonna do kind of like Lord of the Rings here, and she's just gonna be like, "We're so close," and she's going to do the best she can to carry Dane the rest of the way.
Okay. You can do so as you grab onto Dane, and you have to practically drag her as she's writhing the last few steps into the light. And you kind of you blink as you pull her in, and suddenly you're back to yourself again. You're squeezing, your knuckles are white. Your hand in her palm is cold. But you see her cheeks become rosy and life flood back into her body. But her eyes remain closed. Nuri, you see this as well. Life floods into the body,
Nuri's son.
and
Do I recognize what this means?
You can. As the priest kind of lowers his hands, and he slumps kind of against the corner of the bed, and he just kind of lowers himself to the ground to sit down, as it was a very exhausting spell.
Amaris is going to check for a pulse, a temperature, anything that's a signal that Dane is for sure alive.
Yeah, make a survival check.
I don't know if I'm very good in survival. Oh, whoops. Not what I meant to do. Okay, it's technically a 2, but I have a -1, so that's a 31.
You think she's dead. You literally cannot find any sort of pulse or anything. But you're also like basically like hitting her and like trying to like figure out like where's the pulse? Where's the pulse? You're kind of frantic.
I see Amaris doing this. I'm gonna just grab Amaris's hand and kind of like pull him to my chest to keep her from hitting Dane.
Okay.
With I'm sorry. With her free hand that Nuri is not holding on to, that like is still holding on to Dane's hand. She's gonna try and cast Cure Wounds to see if that'll help in any way.
Okay. You cast Cure Wounds, and the light emits from your hand, but nothing else happens. Nuri, make a survival check.
Do I have advantage because of previous situations? Or
Sure, because you have some insight into
20, dirty 20.
30-20. Okay, that's good. So you notice the steady rise and fall of Dane's chest. You see that her skin does have some life in it. She is alive, to your knowledge. Just you distinctly have the memory of your son. How you had tried so hard to every single healing spell in the book, and he wasn't waking up. Ami wasn't waking up. You remember this, the nights that you spent, tearful nights that you spent waiting over him, willing, praying, studying to find some way to bring him back. And this memory comes back to you. More memories of these instances all flood back to you in a moment as the situation itself reoccurs.
I'm gonna kneel down. I'm more eye level with Amaris because she's on the stool. Tears in my own eyes as I just am holding her hand and I grab the side of her face and make her look at me. Amaris, she is not gone. She's here. You did it. She's not gone. Okay, she's not dead.
Amaris is just going to be like, but we're so close. I can't give up now. We're so close.
I know you're really close. I'm gonna just wrap her in a hug. I promise you, Amaris, we will find a way to bring her back. Fully. She's here. She's alive. We are not giving up. Neither of us are giving up on them, okay?
Amaris nods. And like she can't fight it anymore. She breaks down crying.
I'm just gonna hold you really tight and really close as tears silently just roll down my own face as painful memories are just coming back again. just be there for a while.
Okay. You guys are there for a while, sharing in the pain that you both have. The priest, after a few moments, slips out of the area but keeps the curtains drawn so that you guys can be there with each other in privacy. He leaves for a bit. You don't see him for a little while. Yeah, and you guys continue to comfort each other during this time. And at that point, we will switch it over to Merilla and Dusty and Douse.
Man, so this bread's coming along pretty well, huh?
I almost did I didn't want to unmute myself. So the smell. That smells amazing, Girth. I'm so excited. Is it ready yet? All this talk about unicorns is gotten me hungry.
Man, this is like a release of tension.
Unicorns and rainbows.
Oh, goodness.
Happiness and sunshine. Drawing pictures with children.
Okay,
sorry,
unicorns
guys.
and rainbows actually don't technically go together. I will die on this hill.
But apparently unicorns and water go.
That was so
No,
evil, Merilla. That was so evil.
I just got it. Oh, that hurt. That, ouch. Die on this hill. Wow, Merilla.
It wasn't Merilla, that was me. I'm sorry.
Yikes.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
so Merilla just commented on the smell. Smells really good. You know, bread baking. We have some cheese bread. We have some wheat bread. We have special bread with an ingredient that Merilla did not overhear, so I'm not going to reiterate it again.
Okay. So the bread at this point is done baking. And Girth pulls it out of the little like brick oven that they have. She pulls it on out and she starts like she grabs one of the cheese loaves and starts pulling off pieces. And the smell of freshly baked bread. She kind of like waves it this scent trail in front of your nose, Merilla.
Yes, smells so good, so good.
And she hands you the piece that she ripped off, the hunk.
Yes, thank you. Tears off a chunk.
It's almost like picturesque of like Gollum and Smeagol
So
here, like my precious.
Why not?
Hey, yeah, exactly. Just a little insert here. I love you all. Sorry. It's such a heavy topic.
Oh, good.
Sad.
Sad. Okay. So she makes the bread and she starts handing out, like ripping off chunks and handing it out to you. She hands you one, Dusty. And she's like, I know you don't like eating in front of oh sorry, what is this voice? I know you don't like eating in front of people, Dusty, but you can go behind the curtain if you would like.
Looks at the curtain.
He kind of nods, and he literally he walks behind the curtain with the piece of bread in his hand, and then probably about a minute or two later, he comes out and the bread's not in his hand anymore.
Okay.
And he's like, he nods and he's like, very good, as usual.
She just smiles.
Yeah, so good. So
taps her
good.
nose. And she's thank you. Thank you. I I do love making bread. It's what my husband Drav always loves. So Anyways. But you see Tax like ripping into the bread. She's like, like ravenously.
Merilla's like right
Um,
next to her doing the same thing.
oh yeah. And then Tax rips off 2 more things once you both are like done, and she like hands you one, and it's like both
You're wonderful, Tax.
just eating it. Very delicious bread. It's actually really good. Home style. Gotta love it. Um, and Douse, where she is ripping off hunks of cheese bread. Um, and everyone's trying it now. Dusty went behind the curtain to eat his bread and then came back. Tax and Merilla are just ravenously digging into the bread. She hands you a hunk of the cheese bread as well.
Oh, thank you. So wonderful of you. I Now be honest here. Who's the better cook?
Ugh. Yes.
Yes.
She kind of like Girth kind of looks a little confused real quick as if she's like, wait, what other cook is there? And then
Because I was helping her out.
she nods and she goes, ah, I see. Well, I'm very grateful for the help as well.
Yes, it was
You're welcome.
very fun learning from you.
And now we get to enjoy the spoils. And she starts leaving some of the loaves out to like rest and cool. Um, putting some like cloths over them to keep them moist. Or at least keep the moisture inside and let the not so they don't go stale or anything. Um, and so she sets that all up. Um, this will be a good time to set them out tomorrow, but I don't think you all are going to be staying in town much longer, are you?
We
We can be
probably
convinced.
I mean, yes, if we had a reason, we'd probably stay longer. But we should, in my opinion, we should probably be getting back to the guild.
Probably. You came here on guild business, right?
Yes, and in
Memories
a
are still
sense,
flooding back in bits and pieces.
yes. It was. Was it Dusty? Were you the one who picked up the request?
Officially, it was the babysitters, but I was pretty adamant when I heard who was missing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be sure to send you off with lots of bread tomorrow.
You are wonderful.
Save some for the rest of the town, but we appreciate it.
Very kind, thank you.
Of course. And, well, it is getting late in the evening as you see the sun. She doesn't even actually have a window, it's just like a cutout kind of a thing. And you see the sun starting to set. It's actually a very beautiful sunset. Lots of colors in the sky, reds, purples, oranges, yellows, pinks. Um, just a very with lots of thin clouds that kind of paint the picture as well, meld the colors together. Um, Honestly, I gotta just put this one tidbit. Desert sunsets are literally the most beautiful sunsets. Change my mind.
We can debate about that later. You're pretty.
Later.
Yeah, 100%.
Ooh, okay. Anyways, but I would know. Megan put Emily would know. Anyways, sorry. Point being. So the night is getting on. Marilla, you actually see Tax yawn. She's still holding like a little bit of bread and she kind of like leans her head on your side as she's like sitting next to you. Kind of like closes her eyes a little bit.
So much bread, yes. Very rightful you fall asleep to it with it filling your belly. Don't let
You
go
just-
of that. I might eat it. Keep hold of it. She's
She-
teasing. She wouldn't actually do that, but
No, but she falls asleep against you. And her bread is gonna fall out of her hand.
Merilla picks it up, puts it back in her hand, and puts her hand against like her stomach. Pats the hand. Just kind of like strokes her half-orc hair.
Oh, that's so precious.
Maybe one day you will see a unicorn. I hope so.
I love that. Girth just says that. She goes, I love that. Thank you for bringing such hope back to her life and back to our lives. If there's anything I can do to repay you in any way, let me know, please.
Oh, I think you already do.
Mhm.
So Dusty, he says, just keep an extra eye on her.
That too.
She does seem a little bit. She's a little more timid. I guarantee it's from her experience. I care very much about Tax. Please, well, no one cares more than her mother, but just take good care of her.
I will. And when you get over to Steel Glen, be sure to send Drov on his way back.
Of course.
We miss him.
All right. Have a good evening. With that, Douse will step out the door.
Okay. Alrighty. Girth goes in and kind of scoops up Tact. Starts laying her in her bed. And starts tucking her in. Are you guys heading out on your way out?
Merilla is going to pick up one of the drawing implements from the floor, and she's going to go over to the. Actually, no, I'm sorry. She's going to get another smaller piece of paper, and she's going to kind of draw like an oval, and she's going to have 4 things going down from it, and then a second smaller oval, and then a stick coming out of the smaller oval. And she's going to put it next to the picture of all of us together
Mm-hmm.
and stick it on there somehow. I don't know.
The,
And then
pin
she's
it
going
up.
to be like, good night, both of you. She's going to walk out.
The little unicorn.
Yep.
As you look back over the drawings, you see that she had recreated the group again on another drawing on the on the little table. And it says actually at the top, it says, "Who my heroes from or love Tax." So written actually in Orcish, not common.
Oh, so Merlin can't read it.
So you probably can't read it. It's like these Orcish symbols.
Merilla just thinks that she has very bad handwriting.
Yeah, she's got kid handwriting. I would say that from like being around like the family and everything, Dusty would be able to read just like that little bit. So you can tell that it was intended as a gift, Dusty. But Marilla, you head out. Okay.
Dusty will be the last to leave. He just kind of stays there for a little bit, but eventually he'll come with you guys.
Well, before you leave, Girth kind of like goes over, and as you both are kind of like looking over at Tax, who's sleeping soundly in her little really tiny bed, um, Girth just is looking at her and she says, "Thank you. Thank you for saving my little baby girl." She puts her arm on your shoulder. You do well to keep yourself safe out there, son.
Of course. We'll make sure to stop by tomorrow before we leave.
I expect it. And she looks down and She notices the drawing and she picks it up, kind of smiling, and you and her have a very special connection. She kind of folds up the paper and she hands it to you.
Kind of accept it. And he says, "Yeah, she's one of my closest friends."
And you hers.
Kind of takes the drawing and like reaches back and sets it in his pack and ties it off. Right. Tomorrow then.
Tomorrow. Alrighty. And you walk out, head on out. You head back to the tavern, back to Amaris and Nuri.
They're at the tavern.
Well, no. I'm saying going back to them.
We are not at the tavern. We are not at the tavern.
I was like, what?
Fast forward. Skipping a huge bit.
After good crying session, gonna just like pull back from Amaris. Just she general okayness. Amaris, what kind of condition are you in?
She's still crying quite a bit, not as much as before, since like she's like spent a lot of energy crying and trying to get Dane back, but it's as if she can't stop.
I'm gonna wipe some of the tears away. Pull out like a little napkin, wipe your snotty nose like a little kid. I'm gonna kiss your forehead real quick, kind of brush your hair, and I'm gonna just leave you with a moment with Dane, okay? I'll be just down there, okay?
Amaris nods.
I'm gonna give you one more tight hug, and then I'm gonna just slip out of the curtain very quietly, and I'm gonna look for the cleric while I leave Amaris with Dane.
You can find him out there. And he looks over at you as you come out, and his eyes are glazed with concern. Is she all right?
Which one?
Well, I was concerned about the the one that was dead, but I have heard of people falling into comas, and I'm assuming that that's what happened.
Is this your first time having a case like this?
Yes, it's just stuff that that I've heard of.
Ah, well, this is not my first experience with such a situation happening.
I'm sorry, Jav.
I appreciate that. What kind of ability do you have for watching those in a coma here? Otherwise, I can reach out to my dear friends at another Solaris temple and see if they can take her in as well. They have some other coma patients, but
We can tend to her here.
thank you. As for an emergency contact, I'm going to just start giving him some directions, like reach out to
Mhm.
Pax's family if anything happens, if
Okay.
anything is needed, like just give general direction stuff and things I know about cone patients because I've gone through all this experience with it and I've done all this
Mhm.
research. So I'm going to just kind of info dump on him.
'Kay.
And
He takes it.
I'm going to do that if Amaris wants to do anything while I'm doing that, she can.
Nope, Amaris is still sitting by the bed.
Okay.
After just info dumping, which takes a while, probably at least 20 minutes, dump years of research on him, distilled into clear direction. I will then go back and I'll open the curtain because it's been like 20, 30 minutes at this point. Then I'll slip in and I'll just come up behind Amaris and
Yeah, Amaris is like curled up by the bed. She's like hugging her knees. Her face is like buried down as she just silently sobs.
I'm gonna just sit next to you and I'm gonna just like wrap my arms around you and pretty much just kind of like pull you into my lap and just stroke your back and just try to be as comforting as possible. And I'm gonna just write a little note in my book and tear a little piece out of it, summon Houdini and tell him to go find Dusty and give him the note, which just says that we're at pretty much summing down the situation that we're at the temple. We did the spell to bring back Dane. She's in a coma. Don't know when we'll be back. And like that's what I'm sending.
In like a
As
little
I just sit
paper
there.
message.
Yeah, little paper message
Okay.
I've torn out of my book and have given
Right.
to Houdini, and I'm just sitting there with Amaris, just there for her. If she needs anything or wants to talk about anything, Nuri is there.
Houdini just nods and he goes, okay. And grabs the message. He starts flying and you hear just as he just hits the door and slides down. And then you just hear, oh my word. Uh, and then you hear the door like creak open a little bit and then more flapping. And he's like, get out of the temple. Get out. Out. And like distant shouts of
Amaris, did you get a chance to talk with Dane at all?
Through like gasps of sobs, she's like, not a whole lot. She could barely speak.
Oh, Mars, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I've been looking into this for a very long time. She's not dead. I want you to know that you did everything you could. She's not dead. She's not gone. And because you were able to bring her back to this point, this means we have time. She's not going to decay or anything. We have time to figure it out. We have time. I want to answer any questions you have that I can answer, but at the same time, when you're ready, I would love to hear everything that happened to compare to what I know, so that together we can find the next step to take for Dane.
Her grip tightens on. Hold on. Just looking at the picture here so that. Yes. Okay. Just making sure I'm saying this right. She like her grip tightens on like the cloak part of your garment, and she just nods.
I'm just going to pull you a little closer, hold you a little tighter, but I'm not going to say anything else until you're ready to say anything. If that means we're there for hours, we are there for hours.
Okay.
But
So, Megan, how long are you guys there, and do you tell her everything?
At the moment, Amaris is finding it hard to speak through the sobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at some point she'd be ready to head back to the tavern, but at the moment she just can't talk.
All right, so you guys do eventually make it back to the tavern. You pass by your friends who are dining at one of the tables, eating some dinner.
would
Yes.
they have
Oh, and
received the note at that point?
yes, they will have received the note at this point. So you guys know that they don't know when they'll be back, kind of explaining what happened. So when you guys see them enter into the tavern, you kind of know what went down.
Douse would probably invite them over to have a little bit of. Did we take any bread with us?
Yeah, you guys took like the rest of that cheese loaf. She said that she'd give you guys more loaves before you guys left.
I would definitely invite them over to have some cheese bread. Be like, hey, I hear some of the best pick me up is a home cooked bread or freshly made bread. Would you guys like some?
It's really wonderful. Try
I mean,
just a little bit.
it's cooled down a little bit. It's not freshly baked, but still really good.
Nuri will come take some. And she would gently encourage Amaris to come, but if Amaris doesn't, she's not going to force her.
As much as possible, Amaris is just like, I'm not hungry.
All right, Amaris. Is it good night then?
She nods and heads upstairs.
Good night, Amaris. Nuri. How is Nuri looking?
She definitely looks like she cried, but it's been a little while since that happened. So, like, the after effect looks of crying. Her clothes definitely have like tear marks on them from when she was just like holding Amar, so she's like drenched in different spots. A little disheveled looking, but otherwise her face just looks grim. It seems kind of like the cheerful, happy, bouncy, in your face kind of person is currently checked out.
Nuri, if you need someone to vent at, we're all listening.
Could eat some bread.
Merilla just watches you. Not the bread, you.
She watches the bread.
I would probably offer a little of actual food as well in case they need some, but
just eat some food and I nod, and she's not dead. She's just in a coma. The cleric said we can leave her here, and they'll watch her. And if anything happens, they'll reach out to Tax's family.
She's in a This sounds awfully familiar, Nuri.
Yes, my son is in a coma as well. Again, they're not dead.
And you're
Not dead.
sure?
Nuri kind of like sets down her bread. Merilla. She kind of like looks up at you, and there's almost a dangerous look in her eyes for the first time. And she's like,
Douse will take that cue to back off and take a step outside.
I am a necromancer. I know the difference between life and death.
Merilla has a lot of questions. So she's just going to nod. And then she's going to glance down at the bread. And she's going to look back up at you. I didn't know you were officially a necromancer. I won't question you anymore. If you say they are alive, then I too think that they are alive.
Thank you, Merilla. It's been a long day. I'm gonna head upstairs. I'll just take my notebook, small smile on my face, and walk upstairs.
She says it much quieter. Good night, Nuri.
And then Merilla remembers that she's going to be sleeping in the same room as her later that night.
It'd be an interesting room, huh?
The tension.
Merilla's gonna like turn to where Dusty is sitting, and she's gonna be like, I think I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen her like that before.
Me neither.
I hope they're doing all right. It was someone very close to them.
Yes. Someone very close.
Just be nice.
I'm not sure if they're blessed or cursed.
Oh?
You see, Dusty, there's two sides to this, I think. On one hand, she could just be dead. Could have been just dead. But then now, if this coma is as Nuri thinks it is, and we're going to agree, they're alive. Will they ever consciously exist again? Or will they just stay that way? So just plainly dead and kind of basically dead but still alive. And is it a curse to them, then, that they are now in that state? I suppose there is always a way to rectify everything, in some manner. So perhaps she will be brought back. I can't remember anything about Dane. Know about you, Dusty. But I don't know. I can't decide. Is it best to come back if you have the chance? Or do you allow yourself to pass on? As you really can't tell unless you're there.
Dusty kind of shrugs, and he's like, well, I don't know what I'd do if I got there.
I don't think it's necessarily something to be afraid of. Just never considered it before.
I suppose you'll know if it's right or not. I can't imagine what that would even be like. You hear stories, a hill, choice, life or death. Is a coma any different than not deciding?
Do you think she could be indecisive?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Okay. On that note, was there anything else anyone wanted to do before bed?
I mean,
Douse pipes up.
I remember I promised a conversation with something earlier.
Yeah. Okay, so you're outside the tavern?
Yes, outside the tavern. I'd go find maybe around back, just a nice little secluded spot.
Okay, you can see the well also, but you can find a nice secluded spot. Nobody's really behind the tavern. So,
I mean, it's night. It's getting dark. I don't need to jump back in.
okay.
I would slowly walk kind of gingerly around the corner behind, like I said, and then look at my wrist, like, so you turned off my water. Are you ready to talk now? Because I'm a little annoyed about that.
You
But I
just
would be happy to talk.
you have the like an image flashes in your mind of just storm clouds brewing.
I understand you're not happy. I don't think either of us are happy in this current situation. So let's talk this out, shall we? Be civil.
Just some more storm clouds appear, but it's almost like there's a little bit of like a break in the storm, and you almost feel her like nudging, kind of a go on, but you feel the like a wave rippling and tossing, kind of, just the waves kind of flowing and ebbing, and it seems like it's go forward, but no, you're not on quite solid ground.
Fair enough. I received you from a friend. I assumed it a gift. I'm not quite so sure at this moment, because I do not know what you are. I would like to ask you that, and maybe come to a compromise between our current situations. But to do that, we both need to speak up and talk to one another. Are you willing to communicate?
You the entity kind of ebbs and flows as you feel it touch your mind once more. The voice isn't as low and gravelly as it was before, but now it's of a higher pitch, more feminine, more um, reasonable in a sense you can kind of get. She says, "Hmm. As long as you don't claim ownership again, or demean what I am."
I, I apologize if I have offended in any way. Um, to my knowledge, these abilities are not rare to my kind. They're certainly stronger than previous other ones. Um, might I assume that was your doing?
Yes,
Well, much appreciated. Has helped me out in quite a few binds.
it ebbs and flows. Sometimes my graciousness doesn't continue.
I am well aware. Shall we start with names? Or am I presuming too much?
My don't quite. How do I
Mm,
begin?
it's fine if we're not at that point yet.
No. It's not that we're not at that point. I do understand names are in order, but you see, the thing is I do not prescribe to a name. Well, I've titles here and there, but it ebbs and flows, and I am older than most other beings are. Something you can't name, something you can't peg and pin in place and trap down with the social entrappings of life. I just am.
Fair, fair enough. However, that could make communicating very difficult in the future. But we can come to that, I guess, when time comes. What do you want? I'm not going to beat around the bush here.
There's nothing I want, it's simply how I am. I'm free, and I wish to remain so.
Fair enough. Okay. Are you in fact this bracelet? Or are you
Oh,
something
this
attached to it?
bracelet can only want and desire to be like me. No.
Fair enough. I apologize again if I offend. I just have no clue what I'm dealing with
You had no idea what that being gave you, did you, when you first tied on the bracelet?
here. I mean, it was how many years ago? How am I supposed to remember what he wanted? I
Hmm.
assumed he was friendly. He brought me home.
Hmm. Hmm. He was neutral. I'll leave it at that. One who couldn't put up quite with the ebb and flow.
Fair enough.
And just to be clear, it wasn't from him. I chose to leave.
Well, you are the first piece of jewelry that I've ever seen have its own will, so
Do
I'll
not
give it.
demean me as jewelry.
I do not know what you are.
Have you not quite guessed it yet? Or are you more daft than I thought you were?
I do not pretend to know the things of other planes. However, I do have a hunch from what you are.
Oh, do tell. I love a good guessing game.
Well, you were trapped and you wanted to be free, which makes you a being of far greater power than, well, someone wanted you trapped, I'm going to assume, which means you
Hmm,
do have great power.
you could say it started that way, but they are no
I mean,
longer in existence to tell their tale.
touche. I mean, are you a genie or some other primordial being?
They wish they were me.
Fair enough. We can continue from that point.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What I am is difficult to comprehend unless you understand the very essence of elements, the very essence and breath of the life that comes through them. But that is for another time. Regardless, the current situation you're in. If you work with me, I'll turn back on your water.
That'd be much appreciated. Though I would, what does working with you include?
Mm, that's a good question. I do not wish to be demeaned, caged, trapped, or referred to as such. I am not caged, I am not trapped. I exist and I ebb and I flow. I am within every breath.
Mhm. I have my
And
own
we'll
thoughts
see.
upon some of those things, but we can put that aside for now.
Mhm. We'll see what
So,
happens as time goes on.
is that your only demand? To not
Mm.
be demeaned or looked down upon?
That's the current one. More may come in time, as I will and as I think. Mm.
Well, should those times come, I suggest we negotiate on those matters. Because as we have talked about, currently you are attached to my body in the sense that I have not been able to remove you. And I
Yes, that
think,
is my fault.
okay. However, I do think we should work together in these cases as opposed to one being above the other.
Mm.
Would that be adequate?
I will accept to working together as long as you know that I hold more power than you could possibly even comprehend.
I look forward to seeing that power one day.
Maybe.
And
As
with that,
long as you do water me from time to time. I will also make that demand.
fair enough. How much water are we talking?
Hmm, I tend to enjoy a good gallon or two every day.
All
If
right.
not, I may have to leech off of whatever's nearby.
Um, that was you.
Mhm. Yes, sorry about the arm there.
It is fine. The arm, it healed.
In due
But
time.
now that we have an understanding, it's a pleasure doing business. I don't have a hand to shake at the moment.
Understandable.
I do ask that we. It's not that I have a reputation per se, but I would like to not look like a fool either. I assume you can understand.
Oh, you've done right so in doing that. But I can attempt to give fair warning.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
Until next time,
Until next time, Douse.
and I will return to the. I guess to go take a bath.
Okay. All right, so you return into the tavern just as like Dusty is getting up from the table. Um and you all so you go take a bath. Well, I guess anything you wanted to say to him, Dusty?
Dusty was gonna, as he's coming back, he was just gonna say, "Oh, I was about to go looking for you." In a little bit.
Well, here I am. Sorry, I saw the death glare and.
Nope, I totally understand that.
Figured that was my key to leave.
Yep. Well, before we go to bed tonight, I would love to talk to you and get some things sorted out.
Sure. I do have that letter I need to read later from our babysitters, so to speak.
Yes. I can show you those as well.
Wonderful.
Dusty kind of walks up the stairs to their room.
I'm going to take a bath. Unless you want to join me, we can talk after
Later.
that.
Later, then, is the answer.
All right.
Okay. All right, and as you all head to bed and go to almost a restless night's sleep for the evening, all of you guys having heavy thoughts and emotions weighing upon you. You're able to go to sleep knowing that your time in this town is coming to an end. And that things are changing. And with that, we will end tonight's session, wrap it up. Yeah, what do you guys think? Good session? Good session?
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed this. I'm just glad, but I'm sad that it's over because it should last longer.
The lore.
The lore,
lore.
so much lore. We
So
thought last
much
time there was a
lore.
lot of lore. Joke.
Joke.
Hello.
Oh, the amount of notes I could have taken if I was just privy to this information.
I know, it was a lot of like
Sorry.
internal stuff. Oh, dang. Well,
I just
yeah.
want to take a moment and like mini shout out to Scarlet E because she said food is important and Merilla agrees with her. That's it.
I love that. Oh gosh.
I forget when it was said, but it was a good moment. Mhm.
Oh, I love that. Yes, definitely. Shout out to Scarlet E. You are awesome. And to everyone else that's watching, I'm trying to look at the chat. H Man, Ronk 105. Let's see who else is here in the chat. I'm just like looking up Roxy Bird. There's just so many. All of you guys, Sierra Gatral. I mean, you're on the call.
I know I am. I have to
Vibe
be in
gone.
all conversations.
Yes,
me.
exactly. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. We do stream every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We stream off Twitch and then we do upload our streams every Saturday onto YouTube at 4:30 p.m. So, thank you so much for watching. The upcoming next 2 weeks are going to be a little dicey on because it is spring break, so we're figuring out our schedules see if we can stream. But we will update you guys on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the works. So, any final thoughts from everyone before we close it up?
Roxybird, you're
Emotional
also cool.
damage.
Emotional
Emotional
damage.
damage. He is cool.
Emotional damage.
Internal
Oh.
screaming, internal joy sounds, internal crying. There's lots of that today.
I like
Yep.
this concept
And
of
external
the
crying.
hill.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
thought that was-
I'm
concept.
enjoying that.
It was actually inspired by a book series that I read a very long time ago. So
Sorry that I asked about it before we actually got to
no,
experience
no,
it.
I was like, it was a good setup for the hill to hint at it. So, all right. Well, we will see you when we see you. Hopefully next week we'll figure that out. But all right, we love you
Something.
guys. Thank you so much for coming and for your participation in the chat. And we will see you next time.